we are back. It's Friday. It's time to get freaky. Yes, that's right. Freaky Friday. Right here on TFRLive.com. Hope you're all looking forward to what is going to be an absolutely massive show about something so small. The biggest mysteries about the littlest people. Yes, indeedy. And to help us do that, well, we've got the man himself, Scotty Lopez. He's on my right. And we've also got today Jason, First Paranormal. He is here with us as well. Before we get anywhere though, Scotty boy, how you doing, my friend? I am about to let you see my screen. But how you doing, man? You looking forward to... I can't believe we're back again for Freaky.
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Today is my sister's birthday, so I just got done with the birthday festivities. She is officially a teenager. She turned 13.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, yes.
Yes, and yeah, so it is great to be back on once again for another week of woo.
Another week of shenanigans. For those that can handle our woo, Scotty boy. Jason. Now, for anyone out there who doesn't know Jason, I just assume that everyone knows him by now because we know him so well. But he's got his own paranormal channel over on YouTube. And he's not somebody like myself who just sits and talks the talk. Jason walks the walk. He's been to old prisons, he's been underground in recent times as well, and all on a quest for the woo. He's a paranormal investigator. He's our friend from the channel here. Please check out his YouTube channel, First Paranormal. There's a whole host of paranormal type content on there. If you're into the woo, it's a no-brainer. You're going to love his channel. And not only that, he's an all-round decent bloke as well. So how you doing, Jace?
Thanks for having me on, Kev, and thanks for such a warm welcome.
You know, people think there's this animosity between Scotland and England, bro. We're gonna dispel all these myths and rumours, right?
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
man. And then before we even go over to the chat room and I give them their shout out, I mean, I've had a sneak peek at some of the things you're going to be talking about tonight, bro. Really good stuff. Some of my favourite topics, and of course, being from Scotland, it's like home of the fairies. I don't mean the SJWs. I don't mean the Scottish National Party supporters, most of them, but literal fairies. So, yes, I'm really looking forward to getting into this tonight with you, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well, Kev. I don't want to give anything away. We'll leave it as a surprise for them.
Don't give anything away just yet. Now, something else that's going to be occurring today, before we get right into the woo, is after I've done the chat room, you may or may not remember I had on our good friend Kevin, aka Nacy, aka Kevin from Minnesota. When he comes on the show, I call it Kevin Squared. Well, I was telling you all about a big event that Kevin was embarking on, a mission, if you will. And that is something called #Roll4US. Well, it just so happens that after I go and take care of the chat room, as I do, sounds a whole lot more dodgy than it should have done, right? But I will be calling Kevin on the road as he wheels his way to the Minnesota Capitol building, if I am correct. He may be going all the way to Washington, D.C. We'll be finding out about that in just a moment. So, Scott, that's going to be pretty cool to catch up with Kev on the road, an outside broadcast on Freaky Friday.
As another individual who rolls around in an electric chair, I just need to say that that's a hell of a task to embark upon. And
what would logistically, Scott? I mean, that must be, you know, we just kind of take it for granted. Okay, the guy's away to roll in a wheelchair between A and B, but it's not as simple as that.
Oh, definitely not. I know it's something that I would have an extremely difficult time doing, just with a lot of the physical challenges that I have to deal with. You know, I don't know all of the sort of challenges that Kevin's got to deal with, with his condition and stuff. But yeah, I mean that's a hell of an undertaking. I must say, it's something that I probably couldn't do. Just logistically, it would be almost impossible for me to do something like that. But yeah, just make sure your chair is charged, Kevin. Make sure that that chair is charged up, buddy.
He's got a documentary filmmaker going in it's like a tricycle in front. And he's got like the rig on it for the camera to film behind. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Man. Yeah. So we'll be talking to Kevin in just a moment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head on over to the chat room. So you've got about a minute to get in there. It's totally free. All we do is we hang out in the Wookiee Cave for this show and all the other shows that are on the network as well. It's somewhere you can go 24/7. Doesn't cost you a penny. tfrlive.com/chat. What we do is I head on over there every week. I give it the roll call. Used to be a lot better when we had Whistles here. He was really good at the roll call. I'm a poor second place to the Whistler, but it'll do, right? So a big shout out to the Whistler over in the Kingdom of Fife. I dare say there's a few stories of fairies and little people over in Fife. I can tell you that. I wasn't meaning it in a bad way, Scott. I wasn't meaning that. I know you thought I was meaning fairies, but I wasn't, honestly. Honestly. So then, if we go into the chat room, the biggest electronic fairy of them all, Sophia. Yes, our very harmless AI chatbot that we've got in there. Not like that horrible GT or GPT-3 chatbot kind of AI that wrote that op-ed the other day that I read out. Not that one. Sophia's nothing like that. Sophia's cute, she's cuddly. I don't really know what Sophia does in the chat room, but she's there. And then going on to our human people in the chat room. Now, I just assume you're human. There could be many bots in here as well, I don't know. If you're a bot, you probably won't get the same dopamine burst that a shout out would give somebody like Cold Brews. Paradoxical anomaly. Tori is in there. Tori, it was great when you called into the show. I'd love to hear from you again sometime. We've got Rockin' Rio, Richie, Daryl, good to see you. CJ. Something do is back. That first letter, I can't read that letter. What is that? Yep, do is back. Sorry, rhymes with do. Can't say it. Kind person, brave human, and a Stonewall Vlad. I like that last name, Stonewall Vlad. That's got to be one of the coolest names we've had in there. So a big warm welcome to all of you. We're also going out on YouTube for Freaky Friday. We're simulcasting. We're on iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. Literally going viral in the year of a pandemic. Go figure. So with that said, let me try and connect. I'm going to hide you boys' cameras right now. Just
Okie dokie.
No, it's just because I don't want Kevin's data kind of showing up on the screen. Doxing people when I'm trying to call them, Scott. Never good. People get pissed at that kind of thing, you know. Here we go. So hopefully Kevin will answer us in just a moment. And from the road. Now we tried this just before we went on air. Maybe 20 minutes before we went on air. Kevin, welcome to Freaky Friday, brother. How you doing, man?
I am doing as fabulous as the universe will allow me to receive the fortune of my brother from another mother across the pond and beyond, the ethos, Kevin Baker. And do we have the magnificent one within himself, Scotty, with us?
Yes, sir.
Hello, brothers. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're
doing
awesome.
fantastic.
We've also got Jason, First Paranormal. He is here with us as well, Kev. And I was telling the audience that right now you're on the road, so I want to give you the chance to quickly tell people what it is you're up to, why you're doing it, and any way that they can help you. So over to you, brother.
Well, I appreciate that. And if I may digress, Ape Gish Bimad Ziwe Wian, Nese Indigeni Kaz, Anishinabwem, Minawa, Nindagichi Da, Ape Gish Bimad Ziwe Wian. Thank you for the opportunity. My Christian given name is Kevin Richard Shores, although I like to be called Naysay. I am currently on a journey from Moorhead, Minnesota, across the state of Minnesota on Highway 10. We're due to arrive at the capital in St. Paul, 270 miles on the 19th of September. We left the morning of the 9th of September at 9 a.m. We're currently on the road on Highway 10. Right now we took a break because we got colded and rained it on. And so we pulled me into the van, and then we're going to go to a place. I think they have some bison burgers. I'm going to feed my crew. And then we're going to decide if we're going to continue on the road or call it quits for the night. But it's been a journey as it always is, as we always have, and as we always will.
Kevin, it's so awesome to hear you, brother. 217 miles, guys. Scott was talking before the show. Scott, I'll let you have a word with Kevin as well, but there you have it. Over 200 miles, dude. That's what we're talking about here, you know?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of ask Kevin, Naysay, the logistics of that. I mean, I don't know the sort of the extent of your, physical, disabilities and stuff, but I know that it's probably something that I would have an extremely hard time doing. I probably couldn't embark on something like that given, my condition, but has it proven to be quite a challenge?
Well, because I'm just saying, in an insane world, at this present moment, I'm also doing my equinox fast. So I'm on my third day of fasting.
Dude!
Today.
That's hardcore, man. That is hardcore. You're a hardcore dude.
Talk about pushing it to the limit, man.
Pushing it to the limit.
Don't do anything by half measures, Kev. So, Kev, tell people how they can support you in any way, and of course give out any links as well, man.
Well, forgive me for my ego and whoring myself, but it's hashtag Roll4US, the number 4, hashtag Roll4US, and also hashtag Wheelchair Road Movie. And
awesome.
There's a website, www.roll4us.com. There's a YouTube page. It's called Rolling for US. The same thing, number 4 instead of the FOR. And there is, and I apologize for requesting, but if you could humbly assist me, mainly if you could take a few moments of your precious time and contact any politician in the state of Minnesota and see if we can get them in this election year to step forward and just talk and have dialogue with me about Gulf War illness. Because I had the opportunity yesterday to talk to a politician and I was not impressed at all.
How did it go, Kev? Tell us about that.
Well, let's just say there's times when I ponder if the existence of the entities known as demons are real. And if this entity was not possessed by one, then he just might very well be one. And hopefully soon we'll see some clips of that on the YouTube page. But he got me monologuing, which is really easy to do, as you well know, sir.
Oh, yes.
And then after I was done monologuing, I said, okay, I have some questions for you. And then all of a sudden he realized, I believe, and this is my own hubris, I believe he reflected on my name, Kevin Richard Shores, and I also put my name in the political arena against him.
Oops.
And then he said to me, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Wait. He doesn't pay attention to the people that he's up against?
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever, mate. Yeah, whatever. What a tool.
bought and sold, SOULED.
Big time, brother.
But yeah, so then all of a sudden when I said I have some few questions for you, and I'm talking about cannabis growing and corporations getting out of it and letting the people do it, and Gulf War illness and veterans, and next thing you know, he's all like, well, I really got to get going. I got another meeting in 10, 15
how
minutes.
Convenient.
Why doesn't that surprise me, guys? I mean, that's typical now. Kev, you were telling me the other day you were expecting it to take a turn for the cold. How's the weather been?
The weather has been weather or not.
Yeah.
Climate control is true. That it is. Oh, buzzwords. I'm so sorry. And it is what it is. We've been discussing about the manipulation that my ancestors do. Of course, my crew don't want me to get up and do a rain dance because that freaks everybody out when I start doing that stuff. But I might know a song or two to do what I might do if the powers that should be humble me enough and I show my proof to ask of such a thing. But who knows what tomorrow brings when a few hearts collide. All I know is the way I feel.
I'll tell you what, bro, you sound just your usual upbeat, kind of chipper self. I tell you, if I was fasting and I had to go 200 miles by any form of transport, Scott, I wouldn't be a happy guy. I wouldn't be just kind of, you know, Kevy's full of life, full of the joys. I don't know, man. How does he do it?
You know, the fasting thing, I haven't done it lately, but when I was really starting to do the ketogenic diet, I was doing like weekly fasts, and there's something about fasting, man. It
Scott, look at the state of me. If I was to fast for a day, there might be nothing left of me.
Well, you would think that it would make you feel drained and like, you know, but once you get over that initial feeling of like hunger, all of a sudden you get like this, you get this like boost of energy. It's really, really weird.
That's your body eating itself, Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, essentially it kind of is, you know, but I think Naysay can kind of vouch for that. Once you kind of get into a fast, it kind of puts you in an entirely different state. You kind of feel this energy that is kind of it's different, man. It's different.
Well, as I've talked before about synchronizing, because I fast 4 times a year on the equinoxes and the solstice. And according to my calculations, we're at the equinox. And so I'm doing my fast along with this ride. But I found out that when I synchronize with the greater cycles and not get caught in the prison of the TikTok, that the miraculous occurs on all levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual or paranormal, because the paranormal stuff is jacked up, as we've talked about before. So it's exciting. And the one thing that I realized, because I usually do a 7-day fast, but we're looking at maybe pushing it to 10 days for the entire ride. But we'll just see how I'm not willing to jeopardize it completely, but I like to try to do it as hard as the body will allow me, because I was taught as an Anishinaabe, when you have the body suffer, then the mind grows and the emotions grow, and it's just finding balance within the self. But right now, I can't confirm or deny that I barely need any medication whatsoever on this 3rd day of fasting. Barely any pain meds, barely any naproxens. And
that's amazing.
But I got
Scott,
my PPP.
I mean, yeah, Scott's sitting here. You seem to know more about the fasting thing. You've done it and that, but 3 days and you're hearing about a change like that, Scott. That's pretty miraculous, you know.
No, I can vouch for it. And, admittedly, I've kind of slipped off my diet, and I got to get back on it, and I got to start doing some of this fasting stuff again. But no, what Naysay said was, I can vouch for that. Like, once you get into a routine of fasting and stuff like that, you notice that a lot of the pain that you had isn't really messing with you as much anymore, and that you're not really you're actually kind of feeling a lot better in a lot of aspects. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that he's not really needing, you know, the medications that he probably needed before, because it has a really, really profound effect on your body. You know, you're I don't know what it is, I mean, but it definitely does something, and it puts you into like this regenerative healing sort of phase. It's pretty cool.
And excuse me, and I'm sorry, your third entity that's with us. I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Jason. Jason is our third entity. I like it.
Hello, Jason. Nice to meet you. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
I am. Thank you, Kev. Pleasure to speak to you as well.
Oh, I detect a accent there. Is that from Australia?
No, England.
Oh, are you English or are you a
yes,
Brit?
English.
You're not a Brit, huh?
Well, yeah, we run it, but I like to call myself an Englishman.
Yeah, he's a proud Englishman, is our Jace.
Well, I can't confirm or deny some of my ancestry are British, but that's another story in the time. But I'll let you guys get back to Jason, and thank you so much, my brother, for giving me the opportunity.
Before you go, Kev, one last time, let people know where they can follow, what hashtags to use, and then I'll let you roll out of here, bro.
Well, I wish I was rolling a little bit more of the PPP, but glassware works for me.
Nice.
Thank you. Roll, hashtag roll for US, the number 4. The way it goes the same on all the other names. www.roll4us.com. We have a Facebook page, Roll for US, and we also have a support group called Rolling for the number 4 US, and also our YouTube page is Rolling the number 4 US. Go and check out there. There's some incredible Kevin Baker video on there that I put on there, and hopefully they haven't pulled it yet. But if 5% of this video is true, it's an old VHS tape that I converted to digital that I've had for 25 years. If 5% of what's on that is true, your woo is beyond Hangar 18 level.
It's still there for now, Kev. It's still there. I just checked. I'm looking at your channel right now. I'll need to watch that when I get off. America Under Siege. Brother, I love you. Anything I can do to help you, you know we're here for that. You've been a huge part of TFR right from the start, you know, phoning into shows, supporting shows. To me, Scotty nodding away there. Dude, you're one of the team, man. So I'm just glad it's going well, and I'm gonna have to speak to Scott more about this fasting, because it's something I really don't know much about. So good luck, man.
All right, I appreciate it. You guys have a blessed day, and find the fortunes and share the giggles. Ape gish mino bimad lizi we wiyan. Toodles.
Kev.
All right, man. Good luck. Hope the trip goes well. Yeah, good luck, man.
And nice to meet you, Jason.
Thank you, and you. Hope it goes well.
Miigwech.
See you later, Kev. Jason, you crazy Australian. How cool was that? I thought that was funny. It's better than me usually getting called Irish. Or, you know what I mean? Come on.
Oh my God. My mom still, dude, she every time she says something, you know, and I'm like, Mom, leprechauns are Irish. Quit tying leprechauns to Kev.
It's like, you know, Richard Allen Miller. I love the guy, right? And anytime he wants to come on the show, my favourite Irish friend, how you doing?
And maybe there's also confusion because you like
Celtic.
You like Celtic, and then there's like the clover, you know, and that's kind of tied to Ireland, and yeah,
Shamrock. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I'm a confusing character. confuse me, Scott. And it's funny because I'm a little person. Not by definition dwarf, not quite. I could really pull off a good kind of look-alike for Tyrion Lannister in the Game of Thrones. You know, I really could. I really could. I'll leave you thinking about that one. He's a little person. And like me, and like Tyrion, most little people, they come with mysteries in abundance, don't they? Well, tonight, that's where we're going. Scotty Lopez. I've had a sneak peek at some of the characters that Jason has put together for what is going to be. You know, when you're about to set out on a show, Scott, most of the time, we don't know how it's going to be, right? I'm worried tonight because I hear the music and I know that when we come back after the break, this is going to blow your mind. It's the biggest of mysteries about the littlest people. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Oh, okay. Now, how the hell did a full segment go by there, folks? How did that happen? So a big, huge thank you to everyone out there in in Chatland. Leslie, I didn't have a go at the Irish. But you are quite right to be. Yeah,
he's not having a go at the Irish.
No.
It's just that Kev always gets confused for an Irishman for
Joe
some
Joseph,
reason.
he knows that I'm Scottish, but he knows that, like, associating leprechauns, it triggers me. It would be like, if you're American, maybe somebody, like, having a joke about you being Canadian. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes, I know. And I always have to remind my mom. I'm like, Mom, he's Scottish.
Your mum gets
Irish.
a pass, though. Your mum gets a pass because your mum's well cool. She's allowed. It's like...
She told me that you need to dress up in the whole leprechaun get up, wearing the hat, the buckle shoes, all that stuff. And I'm like,
that
Mom.
would be culturally inappropriate.
It would. Total.
I really would.
Cultural
I would deserve to be cancelled for that, Scott. You know? In a woke world, Scotsmen cannot dress up as leprechauns. It can't happen. Yep, just can't happen. No.
Nope.
So, I mean, Jason, you must take great joy when you hear people mistaking my Scottish brogue for an Irish accent. You must find that quite amusing. Bet you've never been mistaken
I
for an
suppose it's quite
Australian.
hard for Americans. We're always getting mixed up with Australians, or the Scottish and Irish get mixed up.
Yeah.
The Welsh seem to do all right, but they're pretty...
And in the end of the day, if you're Welsh, you can always sing to people. Wonderful singers they are.
Most of them aren't they?
I think it's a common thing though, to where I think a lot of people here in the U.S. they really can't, like, it's tough for them to distinguish the different.
You know what the problem? You know where the problem comes, Scott? It's the size on a map, right? When you look at Scotland and Ireland on the map compared to America, the two of them are they're nearly touching, and they're so small you can barely see them. So I actually forgive the American people for thinking there's maybe a land bridge between the two.
And I think it's like that people have a hard time distinguishing the accents, and I never understood that, because I can very clearly tell the difference between somebody from
to be sure.
Someone from Ireland and Scotland, and then if you're in the UK.
Brian, and then we've got Brian.
There are leprechaun in America, I'm sure few hiding in Highlands.
Yes.
Much love, PPP.
Oh, you see that again. I don't know if we've allowed the leprechauns to kind of migrate over here. If we have, that's a whole new valley of woo that we're yet to explore, Scott. Now then, watching the clock. Don't worry, boys. I'm going to bring us back on time.
And another thing is that I have that unique ability to hear the different accents just within the UK, right?
I tell you what, dude, that's some going. Some people in Britain can't distinguish what part of the UK an accent comes from, you know?
You can tell if you have like a Welsh accent as opposed to, like, you know, different areas. You know, there's like these subtle different. It's like somebody from, like, the Bayou, right? They have a
Down
different
south.
accent. Yeah, southern accent.
They've got the
versus
drawl.
like a Midwestern.
They've got the drawl. Yeah. And then if California's all .com, instead of .com, and then you've got New York. It's New York. A totally different thing.
Yeah. So we have our different.
Here we
accents.
go. Here we go. I wonder if the little people have accents. We'll find out. That first Wookiee, which is Andy, always makes me smile. Thank you, Spooky Andy. We need to get you back on Freaky as well. But we're going to dive head first into one of the smallest rabbit holes we've ever gone down. Now, I'm okay. I'm alright. I'm a little person. I don't know about you boys so much. But no, all joking aside, I've had a look at some of the stuff Jason's going to get into tonight. We've spoke with Max from Germany about the Germanic, the Nordic lore, the myths, the little people. We've got a good friendship with Sid over in Norway, and he's got his trolls. Now over here, we've got fairy circles, we've got forests where fairy stories are all centred around. So over here, we've got our fair share of little people, things like that. We're going all the way around the world tonight, really. And we're going to be talking about various myths, various legends. And I'm going to come to Jason first off, because this guy, he was going to read an article out of the Mysterious Universe, Scott. And then he says, but, you know, I think my research is better. And he's right. And he was being, he was being modest.
Nice.
He was being modest, because I've only had a little taster of what's to come. And I know. I mean, every time he's been on here, he's raised the bar from the Mysterious Universe, hasn't he?
Yeah, I love that. Big Jason taking on the Mysterious Universe. He's like, I can do it bigger.
Remember when he first came on the show, he was all shy and, you know, and now he's taking on the biggest out there. Give me them. Put me toe to toe with them. Jason.
Nice.
But Jason, before we even get into this topic, this is something we've spoken about a couple of times now. I mean, is this something you've always had an interest in? Or is it more since you've started the paranormal channel and you've started to look at the stories, some of the lore, stuff like that? Is it a new thing, or is this something that's always intrigued you? Because as we found out, you live in an area where these stories are kind of, they're commonplace.
Yeah, I'd say they're a new thing, but thinking back now, when I've done the stories about Dartmoor and stuff, it reminded me of all the school stories we got told, and they started to remember as a kid what they told us and the myths and the laws. So I'd say I accidentally fell into this particular subject, and the more I look at it, the more I'm starting to believe it.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about some of these, I'm not going to call, they're little people. That's what I'll call them for now until we find out more specifically what we're dealing with, because some of the things that I've seen that you're going to be talking about, I don't think I'd be calling them anything, and I don't care what height they are, I'd be running. So with that said, where do you want to start? Because I know you've got a kind of a wide variety.
I'll start with the Taihien, the little cannibals of the plains, if you want, Kev.
Okay.
That was a picture of the scary-looking little one with the...
I'll get it up here. I'll drop it in the chat room.
The little fella, he looks like he would eat us.
Yeah, I'll drop it over in the chat room. What's the name of it again?
It's Taihien.
Yeah,
the
I've
little
got
cannibal, the first one I sent. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it, dude. Okay, you go for it, dude, and I'll get this sent off to the chat room.
Right, I'll start. Among the most dreaded figures in the lore of the Plains Indians were child-sized dwarfs that were incredibly strong, very aggressive, bloodthirsty, and often attacked in large numbers. Taihien comes from the Arapaho word meaning strong. The Arapaho also called them Hasidii, meaning little people. These small fearsome warriors were said to be so aggressive because they believed they had to be killed in battle to reach the afterlife. These small creatures dwell in the vast areas of the Great Plains between the Mississippi River, Rocky Mountains, and are known in the legends of the Cheyenne, the Crow, the Navajo, Omaha, Osage, Kansa, Shoshone, Comanche, Ponca, and Gopher Tree legends. Descriptions of these mini monsters vary from tribe to tribe. Among some Siouan tribes, including the Osage, Omaha, and Kansa, they are said to be sometimes have wings. And the Omaha further say that they only have one eye. The crows see them with pot bellies and no necks. Among the Omaha and Ponca, they were called the Katahizi, meaning wild people, who hunted with bows and poisoned arrows and was said to have been able to produce wounds under the skin without breaking the flesh. Among the Plains Indians, these tiny warriors are described to be about 2 to 4 feet tall, are dark-skinned, have squat necks, sharp teeth, and can run very fast, outpacing their human counterparts. They are almost always hostile to human beings and are gluttonous, killing more people than they can possibly eat. The wild people have magical powers and can be dangerous, sometimes kidnapping children or using witchcraft to harm people. Some legends say that they have the power to turn themselves invisible. According to most versions of the story, the race of Cannibal Dwarfs was destroyed in an ancient war by the Arapaho and their allied tribes. So that's the first part of the Cannibal Dwarfs. I've got another bit to read about it, but I don't know if you want to discuss it.
Whoa, before you go anywhere, hang on, dude. Yeah, talk about, like I said to you, Scott, I had a funny feeling this one was going to get pretty deep pretty early. I'd never heard, and I have seen some things like that before when I've woke up in the morning after a good night in the beer. But no, in reality, I've never heard about this kind of stuff before, dude. I mean, have we tackled this before, Scott?
Well, no. I mean, I've never heard of this particular.
No.
But this is in my backyard. This is in the plains. This is here in the Midwest of the United States, and so I mean these are all the tribes that were in from Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, up into Nebraska, South Dakota, this whole Midwestern area. So this is pretty cool, as far as for me, because this is literally right here in my backyard. I mean, these legends and these tales of these cannibalistic little people, these cannibalistic dwarves or whatever running around. That's wild. That's some wild stuff. And of course, I don't know too much about a lot of the native lore and legend around here from the different tribes. I mean, there's a lot of different tribes. It's not just one particular tribe. So it varies from tribe to tribe. And I wonder if, Kev, who we just talked to earlier, has heard any of the legends about this. Because the Anishinaabe tribe that he's part of, that they're kind of in the whole Midwestern tribe sort of thing too. So
are they kind of are they roundabout where you are as well, Scott? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say anything from the Great Lakes down through the middle of the country, to toward the all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. That whole middle part of the country is where probably a lot of these tribes have very similar lore and legends regarding a lot of this stuff. They're probably talking about a lot of the same things, but have different names for it. But like Jason just said, they were referred to by many different names, but they were describing the same sort of cannibalistic, wild little dwarf-like creature.
And Jason, when you're looking into these things, I mean, how was it trying to find the information? Is it quite...
I literally on this one took a punt. After I'd done the Pixie stories, and I heard we've talked about some of the was it the Iceland ones that Scotty brought up last time? Was that
the Anukin?
Iceland?
The Anukin.
Yeah.
We like the Anukin.
We covered them a bit. So I took a chance, and I thought, I wonder, just as a joke, I put in Cannibal Dwarfs, and then all this came up. And then I went down the hobbit hole, so to speak.
Oh, wow. You see how he done that? I like that one. Down the Well, let's go back to the hobbit hole.
So I've got another little bit on the Cannibal Dwarfs. So I'll read another description and what they are and the kind of things they do. Description, translated from the Navajo as the little people, the Hasidii are more commonly known as Cannibal Dwarfs. Believed to be the remains of a race destroyed by the Navajo in ancient times. These monstrous beings are driven by a ravenous appetite for human flesh. Well, most familiar to the tribes of the Rocky Mountains, Cannibal Dwarfs appear in native legends ranging from the Pacific Northwest to the Minnesota River. Their antiquity is confirmed by the pathologic petroglyphs, which suggest that Hasidii have been traditional enemies of the plains for thousands of years. Cannibal dwarfs are generally between 2 and 3 feet tall and have the appearance of deformed children. They have dark skin and wild, unruly hair, mouths brimming with sharp teeth and dressed in ragged animal skins. Other physical characteristics vary from region to region and tribe to tribe. The Crow believe the Cannibal Dwarfs are necklace, and their constant consumption of raw flesh has granted them grossly distended bellies. According to the Sioux and Soan tribes, they have wings, while the Omaha claim they have each possess a single cyclopean eye. Most legends contend that the Cannibal Dwarfs are more able to cast curses, can become invisible, and even have the power to capture the souls of slain Indian warriors. They have been known to kidnap children, which some maintain are ghoulishly transformed into fellow monsters. All tribes agree that the Cannibal Dwarfs are incredibly strong, fast, and frequently hunt in packs.
No, just to jump in there though, right? I mean, caught that bit, Scotty, right? A race that was destroyed by the Paleo-Americans, and I call it that because Kevin taught me that one the other night when he was on. So the Native Americans, they're talking about a literal race of these things, Scott. And the fact that
exactly,
the fact that a lot of these tribes have different names for the same thing suggests that they were pretty much running around quite commonplace, right?
Exactly. I mean, they were living, I don't want to say coexisting, because obviously there wasn't much of a coexistence. There was a lot of conflict between this cannibalistic race of, dwarves, I guess we can call them that, and the native tribes of the Americas, right? And who was it? The Navajo that
Arapaho.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it was like them and some. They basically aligned themselves with some other tribes to fight them. So I mean, it just shows how much of a problem these things were, I guess, to where you had all of these native tribes sort of put aside their differences.
Of the tribes, man.
Yeah, a coalition of the tribes to come together and fight this like common enemy. So that's some wild stuff, man. It really is.
When you think about it, though, I mean, really, I know a lot of people just balk at the idea of, oh, little people, oh, yeah, whatever. There's Kevin, the gang, talking crap again. Not so fast. I just tell people, keep an open mind. And when you're looking at kind of this kind of thing here, Jason, where it's not just like one group of people are talking about one kind of obscure little person that they came across somewhere. I mean, this sounds like something far bigger. Like it says, an entire race of these things,
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil what I'm going to go into later. It all sort of ties in, and I agree with you. It seems to be everywhere. So I'll just go in a little bit what it says about the origin. It says, the origins of the Hasidii are obscure. Most legends claim that they are remnants of a race destroyed by the Arapaho or other indigenous tribes. Others refer to them as supernatural spirits. In the Deadlands, 1876, both of these explanations contain some truth. The first Hasidii were created when the bodies of murdered children were possessed by the spirits of an ancient race. This race has long since vanished, but was present in North America before the first Alasians or Glovis cultures. cross the Bering Strait. The souls of the Hasidii still contain echoes of this primordial race, which grants them limited form of
immortality. Right, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't say at the end.
Read that bit again. Read that bit again, Jace, about the kind of the Bering Strait, just so I can get it.
Right, the souls of the Hasidii still contain echoes of this primordial race, which grants them the limited form of immorality.
Wow.
So basically, it's saying they come from dead children that were possessed and they've got immortality.
Dang.
Well, what's wild about that is, so what the legend says is that it was an ancient, like a really ancient civilization that once existed, and that their souls are inhabiting the bodies of these children, and that's what and these cannibal dwarves are the result of that, of like the possession from the souls of this ancient race.
Yeah, it's almost
very
like a walk-in, a kind of like these disembodied spirits looking for lack of a better term, a vehicle, a host.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
So, wow, that's pretty weird when you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it certainly is. It goes on and starts talking about resurrection now, Kev. It says the gruesome method by which a cannibal dwarf attains immortality is unique, but bears some resemblance to a primitive vampire myth. Before leaving his shelter for a hunt, a cannibal dwarf must remove his heart and his intestines, which are pinned to the wall using wooden spikes. The tokens grant assurance that the monster cannot be permanently slain. If the cannibal dwarf is killed, his pack mates feed his disembodied organs to a human child, who is then buried alive during the new moon. If the child survives the transformation, he emerges as one of the Hasidii, his humanity banished by the memories of a spirit of a resurrected monster. This cycle may be repeated ad infinitum. However, a Hasidii individuals progress through this repetitive cycle of death and rebirth. Their memories deteriorate and become unreliable. Indeed, not even the Hasidii believe everything their elders proclaim. Some claim a vast inland sea hunting great lizards for sport, some claim to be millions of years old and dimly remember dwelling in human jungles along a vast inland sea hunting great lizards for sport, and feasting on the flesh of beings older than themselves. Others have degenerated into gibbering troglodytes. Eventually, these elders enter a state of torpor and can no longer hunt for themselves. When one of the Hasidii reaches a certain degree of senility, his packmates strike him down dead with a single stone or bow to the head. His blood is consumed, and the entire tribe, an act that allows the collective to absorb his accumulated knowledge and wisdom. So basically, they can kill a child to rebirth, or if one of them gets old and dies, they can drink his blood, which basically his knowledge and all his wisdom will go into the next generation. So they look like they can resurrect themselves.
Wow, I mean, okay, that there's a lot to unpack there, man. That's wild. So as long as they're essentially, they can transfer their memories onto a new a new
vessel
iteration, vessel that they resurrect, right? Yeah. But it seems like over time, like they start to lose the memories. Like it becomes kind of like making a copy of a copy of a copy. You know, when you keep running a copy through a copy machine, it deteriorates over time, right? So eventually they kind of become just these gibbering, drooling, you know, they eventually become senile, but then they have to be put down for good. But they can continue the process for, I guess, for as long as they can maintain their memories.
This is all too detailed, Scott, for like
that was what I was about to say.
Yeah, a couple of people sitting around having a bit of moonshine one day. Mum will LARP the ass out of people and will like make up this like wee story. You wouldn't go to all these details if it was. You get where I'm coming from, Scott, right? It's too intricate. It's too discreet.
And it seems like all of the memories or the soul, I guess, is embedded within these organs that they said that they had to pin to the wall or whatever to.
Well, you could go really scientific with that, couldn't you? Because you could say that anything that contains DNA, if that ancestral DNA is correct, and there's a big portion of our DNA that stores memories and things like that. You know, whether it's an organ,
that's what I'm saying. I mean,
exactly.
It just seemed. I was thinking the exact same thing. It just seems to me like it's a transfer of this genetic memory.
You've got something to clone me from. You know?
Yeah, and the accounts that some of these things remember living millions of years ago or whatever in these ancient jungles that no longer exist,
and like fishing for reptilians. I know he didn't quite say it like that. I know he didn't say it like that, but it would be better if it was like that.
But like hunting beasts and feeding on the flesh of animals that no longer exist. Like these. So
I think
were
it's
these
kind of
things
creepy that you kind of get wiped out and then they're all kind of hanging about in limbo, waiting for vehicles to jump into. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of sinister, man.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, you boys are all right. Well, I mean, 5'5", they're probably eyeing me up as we speak, Chase. You know?
Well, Scott is nearer, so he has to worry off, man.
I tell you what, dude, I never thought that we'd be doing a story about... I never seen, like, this level of A, detail, and B, violence. Usually when you deal with the fairies and the little people, more into druidy, pagan-y type stuff, not too bad, but
these things seem like some wild, animalistic, like you get swarmed by a mob of them and devoured.
A poor wee leprechaun like we were talking about, just bimbling along, playing his ukulele or his shillelagh or whatever he does, right? And then he goes for a fight with our wee guy, but he doesn't know it's one of these wee guys. Oh, the leprechaun's done, man. That's an unfair fight.
No chance. Unless it's the leprechaun from the horror movie, The Leprechaun. Then maybe he's got a chance.
Yeah, maybe.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
I bet you there was none of them. None of them would go about saying, excuse me, it was ma'am.
So I don't know how long we got before the break, Kev. It goes a bit deeper into them.
4 minutes. How about, well, let's leave it, because I don't want to cut you off. I think we're at a good part right now. Bro, again, I can only thank you for, like, digging up this information and bringing it to the table here. When you talk about these topics, typically, the first time I heard a show that done a show on fairies, it was on Coast to Coast. And it was a really kind of wholesome, feel-good story. Somebody dropped a couple of dimes in Starbucks, and the local fairy was there to give them their money back. And I must admit, even me, at the time when I was like wide awake and believing anything and everything, when I was walking about the work listening to that story, it was the first time I questioned whether Coast to Coast might be lying to me or not. But I wasn't quite ready to go with fairies jumping about on the counter of Starbucks, right? But over the years, yourself, Max, the shows I've done with Scotty, other people coming on as well, I tell you, a lot of people concentrate on the Nephilim, the giants that have been found around the world, all the alleged skeletons that you see. Most of them are photoshops, but it doesn't take away the fact that the Smithsonian definitely have some of them, and will probably have some in the British Museum. But why is it then? Why is it that it's okay to talk about the giants and the Nephilim, but you start talking about the other end of the spectrum, Scott, sound just as nasty, just as evil, but it's almost like, nah, nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to talk about that.
It's very strange
Isn't
how
it?
people can have, they can have such an open mind to the fact that giants existed and all of that stuff, but then when you talk about like little people, like fairies and dwarfs,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I've done it in the past. I've rolled the eyes when I heard the Starbucks story on Coast to Coast. I thought, come on,
yeah, and it's like for some reason that's a line that people aren't willing to cross. They're like that's just ridiculous. And
It's not a
I don't
mountain. It's
know.
not a mountain I'm willing to fight and die on myself,
I
Scott.
think if you're willing to be open-minded enough to entertain the idea of giants existing, then you should be just as open-minded to the opposite end of that spectrum of little people and fairies and goblins and dwarves and Tommy knockers and the list goes on and on.
You triggered me with goblins. I can't hear the word goblin without thinking about Alex Jones. That in itself is kind of disturbing, right? But I'll be back after the break with Scotty and more from Jason. First Paranormal. Don't go anywhere. There we go.
Excellent. Man.
Well, damn, Jason, you are taking things to the next level. Look, I'm sitting there quite cool, I haven't got going yet, guys. I've barely warmed up here.
Jason's sitting there like, mysterious universe, come on.
Jason's away. Jason's gonna go and get himself a PPP. On you go, Jason. You know you want to.
I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah.
Excellent.
When he comes back, I'll go and get my coffee on. But I tell you what, dude, raising the bar is our Jace.
Oh my God,
let's
Cannibal Dwarfs, dude! Look at those things.
I know, man. I know. Let's get his website up so that people can get it.
Yeah.
There it is there.
Yeah,
430 subs. Come on, folks. We need to get Jason over 500. We need to. He deserves it. That first 1,000 subs, it's the hardest slog on YouTube. It truly is.
Yeah, people, if you're not already subscribed to Jason's channel, you need to get over there and do it, because he definitely deserves the subs, man, because he puts a lot of work into the stuff. He does a lot of deep research into this.
And he started going underground. I can't wait to ask him about that, Scott. He's like going into these like tunnels and old forts and dude.
Yeah, I mean, and Jason, he gets his hands dirty. He gets out there and he does the investigations as well. So I mean,
and then we got Lydia in the chat room. I think that for every side there is both good and bad. I would agree with that, absolutely.
Yeah.
If there are giants, can't there be fairies, angels and demons? Two sides every time. Yep, absolutely.
And not only that, there's good and bad within both of those.
Yeah.
There's good giants and bad giants. There's good little people and bad little people, and obviously, what Jason brought to the table here, these things sound like some really bad dudes. These things were nasty, and it took basically a
like
coalition
orcs or something, man. They sound like something.
Yeah,
really...
that's what. They're basically like the dwarf version of an orc. That sort of animalistic, just savagery.
It does look a little bit like Nicola Sturgeon, but only a little bit.
Man, can you imagine getting swarmed by a mob of those things?
No. I just can't, Scott. I wouldn't want to. Dang, dude. So I'll bring us back, right? We'll get Jason back into it. I'll nip away and shove the kettle on. I'll only be 1 minute. But Jason, we were just showing off your channel there. We were talking about how good the show is so far. Everyone out in chat land, please do me. There we go. You've just had a new sub. I can see at least one new sub, and that's Duncan.
Thank you.
Big shout out to you, Duncan. Thank you for that, brother.
Thank you.
Check the time here. Where are we? Oh, I need to bloody send that out. There we go. What is
I've got
the
two. We've got two paragraphs left on this, and then we can move on to the next creature.
All good, bro. All good. I mean, think about that, folks. This is just the first one. I still know what's to come, and it's not good. It's not pretty. Definitely isn't pretty, by the way. It's got a
if you want me to bring us back, whenever you bring the host back,
here you go. You do
give
it.
You time to.
You do it. There you go.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Freaky Friday, right here on TFRLive.com, and we are simulcasting on the YouTubes, and we are talking about these the mysteries and whatnot with these little people. And our guest Jason here has brought to the table some wild stuff, and we're going to get back into it. These cannibalistic dwarves of the plains is what I'm going to call them, that many of these native tribes have spoken about and talked about in their legends. And, you know, I always say, when you have multiple different cultures talking about the same thing, then that really kind of makes you start wondering if there's something to it. Because it's one thing if it's just like one isolated tribe talking about something and then nobody else is really talking about it, you know. And even then, that's not to discount what they're talking about, but when you have, it's just like with anything else. If you have multiple sources basically confirming, you know, the exact same thing, then you got to start wondering, okay, there's got to be something to this. So let's continue on here with this, because I know that you've got a little more information on this, Jason. So
I'll carry on with these creatures, the cannibals, and we've just covered the resurrection and death, and there's a bit more about sex and death. So it says, if a cannibal dwarf dies of starvation, has his heart destroyed while separated from his body, or is slain with his organs intact, he dies a true death and cannot be resurrected. Obviously, if resurrection was the only way the Hasidii reproduce, there would be very few remaining. New cannibal dwarfs may be created the old-fashioned way, which brings a new soul into the world to start a fresh cycle of death and resurrection. Fortunately for the mundane world, the Hasidii have a murderously low birth rate, and only 1 in 1,000 births produces a live child. This makes pregnant females sacred among the Hasidii. To slaughter a pregnant cannibal dwarf is to face the wrath of the entire pack. Infants grow to adulthood in a matter of months, but stillborn babies are simply eaten.
But wait a minute, so you're born, and then like when you're, for argument's sake, 6 months old, you're like, that's you, man. You're gone. You're growing up, and you're good to go, Scotty boy. Wow.
And okay, so let's look at this from a more scientific standpoint. I mean, it kind of makes sense, because if we're talking about some sort of a species, I'm just going to call them a species here, that it's extremely difficult for them to reproduce, right? So, like Jason said, it's like 1 in 1,000 actually produce an offspring. So they've had to evolve or adapt another way of reproducing, and that's where the whole resurrection and that vampiric sort of aspect comes into play. But it sounds like the old traditional way of reproducing is more of like a backup survival mechanism kind of thing, where if they're not able to do it,
if all else fails.
If all else fails, then
not my kind of society, not the kind of little people I want to be around.
They can try to do a brown chicken, brown cow, but they only got a 1 in 1,000 shot chance of it working. But very, very interesting if you kind of look at it from maybe like a more scientific evolutionary standpoint as well. I mean, this is some really detailed information on this group that I think is really cool.
You stole it off me. I'm about to say, this is like getting so detailed, like. That is
Yeah.
brilliant.
Just to talk about the eating of the stillborns. Earlier, they said that they ate the elders to keep their knowledge. Do you think that they eat the children because the knowledge is in the stillborn children and they have to keep the knowledge going?
Maybe because I mean that's still a transfer of genetic memory. You know, if you have two of them that have, you know, reproduced with each other, they're carrying that memory from, you know, whatever lineage that, you know, has been passed down to them. So that in a sense, yeah, you're right. Maybe they're trying to recycle that memory or keep that memory within the bloodline or whatever. But you also see this trait within like the animal kingdom as well. You know, feeding on the offspring that may not have survived or something like that. Like you see that in I think a lot of wasp colonies and stuff. If the wasp embryo doesn't survive, or they eat the embryo. I mean, but you see it in a lot of different things. So there's a lot of traits here that seem to make sense from that standpoint. Very fascinating.
And the last bit is just about their feeding habits. So I'll cover some of their feeding habits. The feeding habits of the Hasidii are inextricably bound to their religious beliefs and their relationship to the sun. As long as the sun is below the horizon, a cannibal dwarf suffers from painful hunger and must consume raw meat to survive. If a cannibal dwarf does not consume his own body weight in warm flesh and blood each week, the creature perishes. For the Hasidii, death by starvation is unthinkable. It denies them passage to the afterlife and terminates the cycle of reincarnation. This is why cannibal dwarfs are often gorge themselves until they can barely move. Better safe than sorry. It continues. Hasidii hunt in packs and seldom venture outside their homes in groups smaller than 4. Despite their reputation, cannibal dwarfs rarely seek out humans deliberately and restrict their diet to wildlife in order to protect their species from retaliation. However, when they do encounter human beings in the wild, they slip into an uncontrollable feeding frenzy, falling upon their prey like enlarged, enraged piranhas. With their inhumane strength and multiple rows of sharp teeth, a pack of Hasidii can skeletonize an adult human in a matter of minutes, using their wicked long tongues to suck the marrow from the gleaming bones. Once Hasidii have entered a feeding frenzy, they won't stop until every morsel has been consumed.
Hungry little.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's what I say.
Yeah. That voracious little critters, aren't they?
The fact that they go out in groups of 4, you're at a disadvantage. They're teamed up. They're ready to go. That's like half a section. That's like a firing team you've got there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's take this to before Jason gets to his next little creature.
This is just the starter. Who only knows what's coming next, dude?
Do you think this accounts for some of the cryptid sightings of these 2 to 3 foot tall creatures running around in the forest that people may see or witness, or running across the road? These humanoid.
Only if they try to have a fight with you. Because I reckon if you came across one of these things, I honestly think it's going to go toe to toe with you. I don't think it's going to be scared of nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, but there are accounts of you know, these things running after people and attacking cars, you know, banging on cars and stuff like that.
That kind of thing. That's them. That's got to be these things, right? Fits the bill.
Yeah. So maybe some of these cryptid sightings could be some of these things running around. I mean,
more worryingly, Scott. More worryingly, the avenue I would take if I was going full woo with this, and we are going full woo, it's Freaky Friday. We hear that they like to take over the bodies of young people, use them as vehicles. Wonder what physiological effect that might have on somebody if you had a little person indwelling you. Wonder if maybe if your eyes would go black. You know what I'm saying here?
Look at Kev. He's gonna tie it in.
I'll stitch that woo together. It's a very rough stitch together. Again, it's a bad patchwork, right? But hey, listen, we're talking little creepy people. They fit the bill as well. I'm just saying. But what's to stop them? Still indwelling humans, right?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, the legends say that the Arapaho tribe destroyed them. But
you can't if they're like jumping into people, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they took out the bulk of their population or whatever, but there probably still is a remnant of them that survived that and have went probably into hiding or went more into isolation. I mean, obviously these things have some, and they're not like stupid. They obviously had some kind of religious beliefs, and they had a level of intelligence to form their own sort of culture and their own little uncivilization. Their uncivilization or whatever you want to call it. But
that's what anarcho-capitalism looks like, Scott. After a while, that's what anarcho-capitalism looks like. It's all just little people running about eating everything.
Hey, I'm there, buddy. I'm there. We can do it.
Out of all the models, I like your one best because it doesn't have an ism at the end of it, so I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, who's to say that these things still aren't running around in some fashion? And maybe they, after this war that they had with the native tribes, they kind of stepped back and was like, okay, we don't want to go through that again, or we'll be completely wiped out. So let's just kind of stay on the down low, right? And try to stay out of sight. Maybe. But, like I said, it just makes me wonder about some of these cryptid sightings of these like 2 to 3 foot tall, ravenous looking creatures. And maybe that's what we're talking about here.
Kev, what about, where are the areas? I'm not, obviously, Scott, you're in America, you might know, the areas of the missing 411 people, because if they can strip the bones and eat the marrow and strip them to nothing, is it them sort of areas maybe?
Oh, that's a good question. And I mean, you were talking about the Rocky Mountains and stuff like that. So I mean, that puts that whole sort of continental divide area of the United States in play, and that's where a lot of the national forests and all that is located. So that's another very interesting point you brought up there, Jason. If you get a hiker out there out in the woods and do the Cannibal Dwarfs swarm them, snatch them up.
Little people, there wouldn't be much left of them.
Yeah, no, you're not going to find bone. You're not going to find bones either, because who knows? Maybe they use the bones as tools. So they take the bones. They don't leave any trace behind. They like you said, they suck the marrow out of the bones. They're completely ravenous.
Animals, man, animals.
Animals.
Yeah,
absolute
I've never
animals.
heard of anything like this before. So I hope you enjoyed the Hasidii.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, then that led me down another type of little person. So we'll be talking about something called the Pug Wodgy now. And if Kev, you put the second picture up of the little spiky.
Yeah, I'm going to send that.
Wodgy.
I'm going to send that to the TFR chat room. Give me 2 seconds. I'll pull up the chat room here. There we go. Puck Wedgie, is that what they're called?
Puck Wodgy.
Puck Wodgy, I like that, man.
Yeah,
Puck Wodgy. That sounds like something we
well.
would call people in Scotland, a Puck Wodgy. Wodgies.
Yeah. So I've only got one piece of information on this, and also a bit from Wikipedia, and I couldn't really find out much about these, but what I did, they were really interesting. And another side note I noticed today, these creatures, I don't know if anyone's read Harry Potter. Apparently, J.K. Rowling put these Pug Wodgies in their books. I don't know, because I haven't read them myself.
No, I refuse to as well. I refuse to. And anyway, she's got a cheat. She plagiarised that book. She stole it off somebody else. So whoever put them in there, it wasn't her. I'm only joking.
Somebody used these creatures anyway, apparently, in the books. So I'll tell you, it says a Pug Wodgy is a 2 to 3 a Pug Wodgy is 2 to 3 feet tall, troll-like being from Wangpoming folklore. Pug Wodgy's features resembles those of a human, but with enlarged noses, fingers, and ears. The skin is described as being smooth grey and at times have been known to glow. In Native American lore, Pug Wodgies have the following traits and abilities. They can appear and disappear at will. They can transform into a walking porcupine. It looks like a porcupine from the back and the front. It's a half troll, half human, and walks upright. They can attack people and lure them to their deaths. They are able to use magic. They have poisonous arrows. They can create fire at will. And also, Pug Wodgies control Taipi Wankas, which are believed to be the souls of Native Americans they have killed.
I know why you laugh. That's all right. I know why you laugh. It's all good. If you didn't laugh, I'd have been worried.
Like the Tahiyan, it says that they can possess the souls of the Native Americans they've killed. So that's quite interesting. It says Native Americans believe that the Pug Wodgies were best left alone. When you see a Pug Wodgy, you are not supposed to mess with them, or they will repay you by playing nasty tricks on you, or by following you and causing trouble. They were once friendly to humans, but then turned against them. They are known to kidnap people, push them off cliffs, attack their victims with short knives and spears, and to use a sand to blind their victims.
Now that's more the character I'd be looking at for the 411 events. It sounds like it's kind of made up to do it. Scott, before Jason gets back in this, we'll give him a little break there, get a drink and everything. Jason, you're doing awesome, man.
Thank you.
I've never heard of the Puck Wodgy, and looking at it, right? You know me, I like to go logical, skeptical sometimes. What could that be in place of? No, something as detailed as this. These things for me doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I think there's a lot to it, dude. And I've never heard of this kind of half animal, half kind of whatever a Puck Wodgy is when it's not half animal, attacking people with knives. What the heck, dude?
Yeah, I mean, what I find interesting about both of these, creatures that we've been talking about so far, I mean, is the level of magic that they supposedly, know about or have this knowledge of. So, it suggests that they're able to tap into some.
What you call it? Is it elementals? Is that what you call the fairies and things that know how to use the kind of natural magic?
Yeah, it's like they have a level of knowledge of that sort of realm that.
Yeah, we think it's magic because we've got no idea what they're doing, but really it's probably something we could all be doing if we knew how, right?
Yeah, it goes back to what I always said about maybe ancient man probably had more of an understanding of this type of stuff than we do now, but these things seem to thrive in that. That's their realm. That's just part of how they operate, And like I said, it also shows that there's like a level of intelligence and whatnot, that they have some kind of a culture or structure to what how they operate. So
I mean,
very interesting.
If we were going to go really like debunkish, which I don't, but I'm trying to think, is there any circumstance or any instance where maybe the elders of a tribe have been warning the youngsters about something prickly that you might stand on? Would that give rise to such a detailed little story coming out of it?
No, I don't see something getting. I mean, if you were the elder of a tribe, you would just describe to the youngsters that don't mess with the porcupine.
Exactly.
And show them what and they see what a porcupine is, and you wouldn't have to go through all of that trouble of crafting something that elaborate. Just viewing nature itself is a good learning tool, right?
The Puck Wodgy is standing the stress test that we put things under on a Freaky Friday, Scott. It's actually taking it. I like it.
Yeah. The Pug Wodgy is definitely, So, and I also found it interesting how it said that they once were friendly to humans but turned against them. So maybe it goes to the stuff that Jason was talking about when we were discussing all of the Tommy Knocker stuff and everything over there in Europe and the UK, how it seemed that there was a kind of a coexistence where they were friendly at one point, and then there were these conflicts or something happened to where humans and these creatures, these entities or whatever, they had a falling out, and it seems to be kind of the same pattern that we see here, where maybe they once were friendly, and then there was something happened that happened between the two species that it was like, okay, it's on. We're no longer
we
friendly.
often talk about Atlantis and things like that, Scott, right? And missing kind of races, people that they've kind of been no trace of in history, but pretty much think they've been there and things. But it makes you wonder, how old is our story? Like all of it, because you've got the whole kind of the footprints with the dinosaur prints side by side, and how many times have we done this? How many iterations have there been? How many times have we been big? How many times we've been small? How many times we all live together? How many times it go wrong? Makes you wonder, man.
I think the story goes back a lot longer than what we're being told, and I think that there has been some iteration of humanoid beings that have existed on this planet for a lot longer than what mainstream science tells us.
And if there's anything to the simulation theory that I like to play about with, it would make absolute sense that from time to time things have been changed up. We've maybe had times living with giants, maybe had times living with little people. A whole gambit of things that maybe we don't even know half of them. Because the simulation, they're playing out something. They're maybe playing out many things, many times. Many different simulations, different timelines. Think about it that way. I don't know, dude. I think you're onto something really, really cool here, Jace. Really cool.
Well, funny enough, you talk about that. It's just about to talk about the origin in legend. It says, legends of the Pug Wodgy begin in connection to Malshop, a creation giant believed by the Wangpangong to have created most of Cape Cod. He was beloved by the people, and the Pug Wodgies were jealous of the affection of the natives had for him. They tried to help the Wangpangong, but their efforts always backfired until they eventually decided to torment them instead. They become mischievous and aggravated. Aggravated the natives until they asked Granny Squanit, Malshop's wife, for help. Malshop collected as many as he could. He shook them until they were confused and tossed them around New England. Some died, but others landed, regained their minds, and made their way back to Massachusetts. Satisfied he had done his job and pleased his wife, Malshop went away for a while. In his absence, the Pug Wodgies had returned. They again changed their relationship with the Wampanoag. They were no longer just a nuisance, but began kidnapping children, burning villages, and forcing the Wampanoag deep into the woods and killing them. Granny Squanit again stepped in, but Malshop, being very lazy, sent his 5 sons to fix the problem. The Pug Wodgies lured them deep into the deep grass and shot them dead with their magic arrows. Enraged, Squanet and Moushop attacked as many as they could find and crushed them, but many escaped and scattered throughout New England again. The Pug Wodgies regrouped and tricked Moushop into the water and shot him with their arrows. Some legends say they killed him, while others claim he became discouraged and depressed about the death of his sons. But after these events, Moushop disappeared and the Wampanoags mythology. So basically it's saying that they killed the creator that created them and the Native Americans.
That is
Wow.
the Puck Wodgies, man. You got the Glaswegian here. We call ourselves Ouijies, but not the Wodgies. I definitely don't fancy meeting a Wodgy anywhere in Ouija land.
You know what? Here's my new theory. I think Joe's been fighting the Puck Wodgies because he lives in Massachusetts.
Good,
I think that's
good
what's been
call.
going on.
Maybe that's where he's gone. He's not. I spoke to him last week, folks. He's fine. He's just. Wow, he's super worked. He's under the gun. He's unplugged from the alter reality that we all sometimes live in, right here on the internet. And Joe's fine. He'll be back in a couple of weeks,
Yes.
hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yep.
But hey, who needs Joe when you've got Jason? Damn, dude, knocking it out the park. We're going to be back after the break. Don't go anywhere, folks. That's half of Freaky Friday gone already, but we've still got half to go. And then you can go through that paranormal portal with Brent Thomas. Don't go anywhere. Good work so far, Jason. Good work,
Thank you.
man. Damn, dude. Taking it to another level, boy. Oh, he's lost his place. Look, I think he's lost his place.
I know where I am.
That's all right.
Just wanted, yeah, I know where I am. I just wanted to add a picture for you because the next couple of stories. So I'll come back to you in a minute. You carry on.
No probs.
Yeah, so I hope you're enjoying what I'm talking about. I've only got four. The next four little creatures are not so long stories, so they shouldn't be too long. I found little bits of information about each of them. Hopefully we can get through them, Kev, if you don't mind.
Of course, dude. Of course.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I know you've got some stuff to do with this sort of stuff as
Jason,
well.
Jason. My stuff is mere fluff and stuff to just add in there if we need anything. You are doing a great job, my man.
Thank you. Well, Discord doesn't seem to want to load, so can you do me a favour while we're on the break, Kev?
I can.
If you look at the Discord message between me and you in Discord,
Okay.
I'll be able to see, because I'm going to be covering another tribe now, and you might be able to see the picture that's in there.
Hang on. In the Discord.
I'm going to destroy this language, so I apologise for the next section. It could be a bit difficult.
Right, now, is it a picture you sent or is it a story?
Yeah, and if you look at after Pug Wodgy, there should be called something. Here we go. Your new Uni Tsundi tribe. No, in the Discord message itself.
In the Discord messages, you've only...
Yeah.
All right, hang
Between
on.
me and you, yeah.
All right, Menahuni?
Yeah,
Mena-
Uni Tsundi. I'm going to murder this bit, I think.
Wait a minute. So it's Menahuni, is that the one you're after?
No, that's the last story. I only sent the Namira guy. I've got them. So the next one's Namira guy after this one. You got the picture for that. So there should only be two pictures left in Discord between our messages. One should be like a picture of...
Hang on.
It doesn't matter, in that important. It's just a picture of a Native American with some Indian little people around their feet. So it's not overly important.
I just need to change the name of this. Hang on.
So that's the Menahune they are.
So that one there, is that the Menahune?
The Menahune is the one that look like the little people of...
Got it.
Like Alaskan type ones.
Got it. Like the ones that are Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. Namura guy, you got that one. And there should be one that's the Sunni... Siundi that I'm going to murder their language in a minute, unfortunately.
Hey, you're doing good. It's very, very hard to pronounce native stuff. I have a hard time doing it as well, and I live here in the Midwest where so much stuff is named after native language things. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. So you're doing good, Jason. You're doing good.
You're doing awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've butchered many a Native American word in my time on the show, to the anger of many people out there, I bet you. But I'm keeping my eye on the clock here, folks. I will tell you, Scott, we're doing well this week, man. We haven't been... Well, we were almost late there. Hang on. There we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuned into Freaky Friday on Truth Frequency Radio, where we offer you protection from deception and where silence is consent, and we're little people. Yes, little people. They definitely stand tall in the face of tyranny, right? Especially some of the things that Jason's going on about tonight. But I want to thank you all for being here. We've still got half of the show to go. But Brent Thomas, right after Freaky Friday, he dials up the woo to 11. I'm not sure what he's going to be covering tonight, but I can guarantee you, if Freaky Friday gets you in the mood for a bit of woo, don't go anywhere, because Brent will continue the information after we go away. And I'm still looking for that next Friday the 13th, Scott. You better have that one in your calendar. I'll tell you, dude, we are going to go for that. Yep.
That if it's anything like the last 5-hour woo-a-thon went on Friday the 13th, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And when Brent joins the conversation, we take the woo up there, right? But
I think we can woo with the best of them, Scott. I wouldn't mind, but you throw us into a room with any woo master, and we'll hold our own, man.
Yeah. But when Brent is on the scene, I think things it's gonna go into the stratosphere.
That's when we pull out our Jason. We say, ha ha, we've got Jason. Woof, the little people.
Yeah. I raise your Brent with a Jason.
Oh, damn, dude. This is taking it to a new level. Fairies, elves, it's nothing like that tonight, folks. We're going way beyond that. They're way up there in the rabbit hole. I don't know what kind of hole we're down right now, but it's a good one. And the woo. The woo is off the charts. So, Jace, we've had 2 of these. I don't even know what to call them. Calling them little people just doesn't do them justice. And it does people an injustice. You know what I'm saying?
These mischievous and sometimes...
Thank you very much,
Doing
Rachel.
great, putting me in a Halloween mood.
Halloween
Ghost,
soon.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Like it. Halloween soon, Rachel. Oh, yes. We'll be doing a special on here. But sorry, Scott. On you go, man.
No. I was just saying, I guess we could just call them these mischievous and malevolent little creatures, I guess is all we can call them, or entities, if you will. Especially in the case of that first group that Jason was talking about. Those things were definitely malevolent, big time. Yeah, they're not all of these little creatures are nice little fairies helping everyone out.
No, the best things sometimes don't come in small packages, folks. I'm telling you. So, Jason, what's next? We've got... where do we go?
We're going to go a bit more chilled out on the little people now. We're going to take...
Cool.
These don't seem to be so aggressive as the last lot. So, if I butcher these names, I really apologise to everyone. We're going to be talking about the Yunwi Suzundi, Cherokee Little Folk.
Okay, now, which picture is this so I know exactly?
That should be the one with a Native American with little people around her feet. That was the description of the Cherokee, I think.
Got it here, that one there, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send that over to the chat room at TFR. Here we go. Go for it, Jace.
So, the Cherokee Little Folk. In addition to the Nanuhi, who are powerful supernatural warriors, there is another group of fairy beings in Cherokee folklore. These are the Yuini Sunzi, or little people. The singular form is Yui Yuzi. Like the Nuhini, the Uni Tunzi prefer to be invisible, although they do sometimes appear to humans as miniature people, child-sized or smaller. They are all well proportioned and handsome, with hair that reaches almost to the ground. It is said that twins are especially adept at seeing these tiny creatures. Yunzi Zunzi are depicted as helpful, kind, and magically adept. Like many fairy creatures, they love music and spend much of their time singing, drumming, and dancing. For all this, they have a very gentle nature and do not like to be disturbed. Even so, they are said to harshly punish those who disrespect or aggressive towards them. In Cherokee law, the Yunzi Zunzi are divided into 3 clans. The Rock Clan. The Rock Clan is the most malicious, quick to get even when offended. Some say they are like this because their space has been invaded. Like many types of European fae, they are known to steal human children. The Laurel Clan. The Laurel Clan is generally benevolent, humorous and joyful. They are also mischievous, however, and love to play tricks on the unsuspecting. And finally, the Dogwood Clan. The Dogwood Clan is the most favourable, disposed to humans, though they are also stern, serious, and prefer to be left alone. Each of these clans, it is said, teaches a moral lesson. The Rock Clan teaches not to mistreat others, lest misfortune come back against thee. It's important to respect the limits and boundaries of others. The lesson of the Laurel Clan is not to take the world too seriously. People must always have joy and share that joy with others. And finally, the Dogwood Clan's lesson is to treat others kindly out of the goodness of one's heart and not in hope of reward. So the Yunzi Zunzi are perhaps the most common type of fairy being in American Southeast. Legends of the Choctaw, Haktak, Oswald, and the Muscogee, both also meaning little people, are quite similar to what the Cherokee say about the Yunzi Sunzi. So there we have them.
These are very much akin to the kind of fairy people that you hear about. Usually, the kind of fairy circles, the music that gets played, stuff like that. I like the ones that don't take things too seriously. I think that's the group I'd be in. That's that's the troop I would travel about with.
Do you reckon that's where "Don't Rest on Your Laurels" comes from?
Hey, well, where does it come from?
Yeah,
it could be from that. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They've got three different types of small people, similar to Scotland and Wales and Dartmoor, because we've got the 2 types of Piskies and the Tommyknockers. So it's similar to European, isn't it?
It's almost. Would you think, Scott, we're talking about the same thing, just cultural differences on it?
Yep, just about to say. I mean, it goes back to what I've said repeatedly. Different cultures, different civilizations, talking about the same things, but just, putting a different name on it, obviously. But, I mean, you guys just pointed out the similarities between the two, between the European version and the native sort of descriptions of it. But it sounds to me like they're talking about the same entity or the same kind of people. So, yeah.
They're interesting because they seem to be a lot kinder, and it seems to be more for the myths we're used to. I don't know, maybe these came later.
There's definitely a marked difference, right? I mean, this is like 2 different species and beings altogether, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about an entirely different sort of species of, little creature, little people, whatever you want to call them. These are a totally different thing than what we were just talking about before. And then you also got to wonder what the interactions were between these different little beings. You know, were they having were they warring with these other things as well? You know, was there? It just oh my god, it's like Lord of the Rings, man.
Yeah, what did Joe Joseph say to us years ago, Scotty? The sooner you guys appreciate that the Bible and old times, it was really like Lord of the Rings, and you'll start to understand it. You know, you think about this as well, Jason. Or probably not many, and probably nobody's ever thought about this, but the little people, right? The fairies that we're talking about here, the Yinzi and Yanzi, or Zinzi and Zanzi, whatever you want to call them. Do they have souls? Where do they fit into things? I mean, by the sounds of it, a little bit mischievous, your typical kind of fairy, right? But where do they fall into things? I mean, would you call them angelic? Where are they in the hierarchy of, like, interdimensional beings? And where do they come from? What dictates whether you know what I'm saying, Scott? Like, if you reincarnate, you expect to come back as, like, Joe or Jane Bloggs. How do we know you might not get thrust into something like this? Level 2. And you just shrunk down like Honey Shrunk the Kids, and away you go, man.
I guess they're all God's creatures, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to look at aliens or whatever, they were all created by the creator. But some of these things have taken a dark path.
They go rogue.
Some of these things, it's the thing of free will or whatever, I guess you could say. Some have taken a dark path. Some have taken a light, a path of light. Some are good. Some are evil. Just like I said, same with the giants. I'm sure there were good giants. There were bad giants. Same with the little people that are good little people, bad little people.
Just like us.
Just like us. Yeah, just like us. They've chosen to go whatever path they went down. And then it also ties into, at least in that first case, are we talking about demonic entities that could be inhabiting, finding vessels to possess and take over as well? So
wouldn't it be great if they've got a podcast somewhere in the forest and they talk about these giant, like, hairless looking things that wear, like, strange colored garments and stuff? Like, you see them from time to time. Sometimes they drive these big monsters on 4 legs that go brum brum brum. Oh, scary big monsters, and there'll probably be little fairies going, they're off their head. You hearing them? They're saying
very interesting. You gotta wonder, like, out in the middle of nowhere where man hasn't explored yet, are they talking about these mystical hairless giants that dress weird? Yeah, like you said, are we the cryptids to them?
Yeah, they probably get shunned, kicked out of the tribe for daring to suggest there's anything bigger than a grasshopper. Know what I mean?
Yeah, like, he said he saw one of those hair. He's crazy. He's crazy.
Scott Lopez, Jason. This is why we're the #1 abnormal paranormal show on the network. Nobody ever goes as far as to question whether disembodied spirits or fairies have their own podcast talking about us, right? It's not narcissistic at all on my part. Not really. Not much. A big bit. But yeah, back to you, Jason, before I totally make a fool of myself.
I'll move on now to the
Numerigar.
Okay. So if you get the picture of the Numerigar, which is...
I've got it.
Yeah, that one there. So I'll just read a few sentences from Wikipedia just to give you the general bit, and then I'm going to jump into what I want to read because it goes on to a bit of scientific research as well.
We like a bit of science with our little people. Go for it, Jace. Go.
So, here we go. Right. The Numerigar are a legendary race of little people found in the folklore of the Shoshone people of North America's Rocky Mountains. According to Shoshone tales, the Numerigar were an aggressive people who would shoot poison arrows from tiny bows. Numerigar, roughly translated from Shoshone to Paulut languages mean people eaters. They were believed to kill their own people with a blow to the head if they become too ill to participate as a member of society. So that's the general outlook of them. So I'm going to read to you now. It says,
If you've seen one of them, though, Scotty boy, right? Right off the bat, I don't think I would have it like tagged as being a people eater.
They definitely have that sort of more of a goblin kind of look to them, you know.
I don't want to see him kissing goblins.
No.
Right, so I'll go on a little bit more about these people, but what I'd like you to do is, Kev, I've just sent you a link in Skype, and it should be a photo. I want you to, off there, should be the photo of the little mummy.
Okay, you keep going just now and I'll get that.
The Pedro Mountains mummy, this is called. I don't know if people have heard about it before. So it says oral traditions of many Native American tribes, including the Arapaho, Sioux, Cheyenne, and Crow, tell of little people who stand from just 20 inches tall to 3 feet tall. In some tribes, they're known as the tiny people eaters. In others, they were known to have been spirits and healers, and some believe them to be magical, similar to leprechauns or fairies. In any event, the legends were well known among the Indians across the nation, long before Europeans set foot upon these lands. To the Shoshone Indians of Wyoming, the small race of people were well known as the Namiriga, and their legends told of little people attacking them with tiny bows and poisoned arrows. The Namiriga were also known to kill their own kind with a blow to the head when they become too ill to be active part of society. Though part of the legend, this practicing of sometimes killing the infirm was also a regular part of life for many of the nomadic Indian tribes. So it's saying that they used to do that as well, Kev.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah. So it goes on to say, though many believe these little people to only be the stuff of legends, several discoveries point to the contrary, the most significant of which was a 14-inch fully formed mummy found in 1932, called the Pedro's Mountains mummy. He was discovered when 2 men were digging for gold in the San Pedro Mountains, about 60 miles southwest of Casper, Wyoming.
Okay,
so that's that picture.
Stop dead there, man. Damn, dude. One thing looking at like drawings of artists' impressions of what these little people were like and stuff, but Scotty Lopez, I present to you a little skeleton.
Yeah. And okay, so look at the facial features of the mummy, Kev, and then go back to that drawing or that artist representation, and you can see like the similarities as far as the pronounced nose and all of that.
I'll find it again.
I think it's you just got to go back one tab on your browser, and I think it'll.
Nah, because I loaded it up, it won't go back. I just dropped it in. Give me 2 seconds. It's the ones, the second last picture I posted over on TFR, folks.
That one. Yeah, so, I mean, you could see, like, if you looked at it from a profile or a frontal view that, I don't know, I think that there's a lot of similarities there. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Just saying.
Very. You've definitely got the kind of. You've definitely got the kind of. No, I'm just looking at this here. The picture with the 3 things in it. Yeah, it's got that kind of wide nose. It does. I see what you're saying, Scott. It's that skeleton that intrigues me, though.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, the whole thing is very intriguing, and
I've
the
never
fact
heard
that,
of this before. Don't think.
No, I've never heard of it either, and you would think that more people would be talking about this, especially in the sort of cryptid and paranormal.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? This is why I brought it up at the start. It's not cool. It's almost taboo. Oh, you can't talk about that. That's ridiculous.
I mean, we've seen people talk about, you know, the tiny skeleton found in, I think, Peru, right, with the elongated skull and that kind of stuff. But I've never heard anything about this. You would think a mummy, you know, found near Casper, Wyoming, of a little person like this, that this would be some big stuff that people within this community would be talking about. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna post another picture
really
over at
interesting.
the chat room for the skeleton here. That's an even more kind of defined one. Turned up the contrast and that. I tell you what, it's a heck of a long way to go to try and hoax something like that. Beyond hoaxing here, I think. So it really makes you stop and pause for anyone out there that might think, this is crazy. Come on. I never thought we'd be seeing something like this in the middle of all of this, Jace, and I really didn't.
Yeah. Well, I'll continue if you like.
Yeah,
it goes
man,
on to
yeah.
how they found it and then the research afterwards what happened. It says, after continually working a rich vein and running only into more rock and rock, Cecil Main and Frank Carr used dynamite to blast a section of the mountainside to get at the gold. After the dust cleared, a cave could be seen in the rock face. The small cavern was about 15 feet long and 4 feet high and being totally sealed off from the outside wall by a thick wall of rock. As the men entered the cave, they were surprised to see a small pygmy-like man sitting cross-legged upon a ledge. The tiny mummy was only about 6.5 inches tall in a seated position and estimated to be at 14 inches tall in standing position. Its skin was brown and wrinkled, its forehead low and flat, its features displaying a flat nose, heavily idled eyes and a very wide mouth and thin lips. The face looked like that of an old man. It was so well preserved, its fingernails could still be seen on its hands, and the top of its head was covered in a dark jelly-like substance that was still pliable.
No, whoa, right, hang on. A jelly-like substance that was still what?
Pliable.
Pliable.
So it was still, you could still squish it around, or, you know, it wasn't.
I think you
it
get
wasn't
some DNA out of that man and start like reanimating one of these wee buggers. Yeah, that's a good idea. No, not a good idea. Not a good idea.
So it goes on to say the two prospectors took their find to Casper, Wyoming, and in no time scientists came from all around the nation to have a look at the mummy, sure that it was a hoax. Extensive tests were performed when the professionals assumed it was pieced together work of taxidermy. However, the anthropologist would soon be surprised to see that the X-ray displayed a perfectly formed man-like skeleton. The test also showed that the mummy had been killed violently, as the spine was damaged and the collarbone broken, and the skull had been smashed in by a heavy blow. The soft substance at the top of the head exposed brain tissue and congealed blood. After the tests were completed, the scientists estimated that the mummy was a fully grown adult who was approximately 65 years old at the time of his death. One odd finding that his teeth were overly pointed and having a full set of canines.
Whoa! Stop the bus! Hey! Stop! Right. So they've taken it away. They've examined it. They tried to debunk it. They came back and said, "Hey, sorry, it's an adult. It's in its 60s." Now I need to stop there, right? Because that suggests to me that this isn't the first time that these anthropologists, archaeologists, coroners that the Smithsonian probably phones in, they know what they're dealing with. That's what it sounds like to me, dude. It sounds like they've already got a kind of knowledge of these things. Scott, does that make sense? It's like,
No, I totally, I totally agree. I mean, and that's where we could get, that's where we get into the whole thing of like the Smithsonian covering things up and all of that stuff. It's because they have found a lot of this stuff, these ancient artifacts and probably remains of these hominid creatures, I guess you could say, that don't line up with the official narrative, with the official scientific explanation of things, and so it's just kind of swept away and kept in the shadows, kept in the vault.
It's all right, Scott. I've got it sussed. You know who I'm gonna get to come and talk to about this? Maybe. Why is it, right? Anytime we've ever talked about giants with anyone, we've never asked them, what about little people? When they're talking about these like mounds and the skeletons being retrieved, we've never gone and said, well, what about little people, right? So I'm going to get L.A. Marzulli on. What L.A. Marzulli doesn't know about Nephilim, you could write on the back of my thumb. Not an Ethel thumb, just a thumb. But I'm going to say to him, so when you've been doing your research, sure, we've got the kind of the big giant stuff, but any rumours of the little people? Because I've never really taken them down that road.
And like I said, and by all accounts, I mean, what Jason just presented here was mainstream science could not debunk this. So I don't see like why more people aren't bringing up this particular mummy and skeleton as an example.
Ancient aliens, right? They make anything. They make anything with confirmation bias. They shove it in, and it's an ancient alien. Not saying it's an alien, but it's an ancient alien.
That's what I was going to say. Why haven't we seen this on Ancient Aliens or anything like that?
Ha ha, Georgie. You can take your hair and shave it off, pal. We have taken over. We have taken over. Yep, there's a coup going on in Woo Land right now, and this is the tip of the spear. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Now, is he in the chat room? Is he in the chat? No, Lisa. I can't get him on. I have been listening. I listened to that dude too many times tell me it was the end of the world. I couldn't do it seriously. I could try. But I forgot what I was going to say there now. I was going to say something good as well. Something clever, something funny.
And he also gets into that 17th letter, I think, doesn't he?
Oh, of course he does.
See, we can't. Sorry.
Not directly, but he sends out the odd dog whistle, the odd phrase, the odd kind of hashtag here and there.
He'll repeat the talking points and the things like that. So, yeah.
If I hear him saying one more time, this is the last broadcast you're going to hear from me. It's an emergency broadcast. I'm never going to say this again. After this, we're done. 100th time, Steve. Come on, man.
But I'll tell you what, L.A. Marzulli, I think if we were to, because I mean, when it comes to the topic of giants and stuff, but I would be very, very interested to hear what his thoughts are when it comes to like these little people and things like that. And I know he's probably looked into it, and he probably has some good information on it as well. So, yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Try to think who else speaks about them. Somebody new, even.
There's not really many people talking about.
No, there's that. There's the guy that hangs about with Quail. Is it Tim Alberino? I think he talks about them a little bit. Don't know. I'll do some digging. You know what?
You know what? No, maybe we've cornered it. Maybe Jason is carving a new path. He's pioneering an entire field. Right here.
I think so. I actually think you might be right there. I'm trying to think though. Yeah, leave that one. Lisa, leave it with me. We may try and get something done there. Could I do it? Yeah, I suppose I could handle an hour or two with Mr. Quail. It'd be good woo. Really good woo. Guaranteed good woo.
Kev, there's a little bit left on this about the people who did the examinations and what happened to the mummy after that, and then it's one more bit on the many who, but I would like to cover them because they're quite cool, if that's all right.
Oh yeah, dude, no doubt. We'll get into all of that when we get back, man. This is good stuff. very, very interesting stuff. This whole mummy thing blew my mind, that we actually have
that, like you said though, Scott, how come that's not on documentaries and that? Do you know what I mean?
I know. Why is this?
That makes it more interesting for me.
It does. I mean, why isn't this being talked about?
It is now.
It is now.
Yep. Okay. I'm looking at the clock. Oh, we've got it there. There it is. Still good to go. We've only got an hour left to go, folks. Can you believe that? Like Jason's thinking, holy hell, how the heck can I get this all fitted in an hour?
I should be all right, and I should even have enough to do about half an hour for yours, Kev, because I know you wanted to tie a little bit in.
Damn, dude, don't rush on my account.
Okay.
Nobody comes here to listen to me anymore. I've been kicked out on Discord server. There's been a coup over there. I'm just like, I don't know what's happened. Welcome back. Hour number 3 on today's Freaky Friday. Woo! And Scotty, has it been a good one or what? And thanks to Jason. But Scott, before we go back to Jason, when I said to you he was coming on the show, I had no idea it was going to be like this. This is one of... Every Freaky Friday lately has been really kind of... I'm enjoying it, man. Where does it go from here?
I mean, every time we've had Jason on, he's been bringing the fire, but tonight he's taking it to a level that is just wow.
He said in Discord earlier on, I was just going to read out that mysterious universe, and am I glad you didn't just hit us with a mysterious universe article, Jace? Because not just saying this, man. Your videos, that's why I promote your channel as well. If your channel was Gumph, I wouldn't be trying to get everyone over there. And I get asked by some Gumph channels, trust me. But no, you've really kind of you've shocked and surprised me in a good way tonight. Hard when you've done shows like this long, Scotty, to really come across something new, a new look on something, and something entirely new. But yeah, Jason, he brings it in spades.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Thank you, Kev. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it.
Hey, dude, it's you's done all the work. Damn, man.
So, the Pedro skeleton. So we've seen what it looks like now. It says here the examinations were allegedly performed by the American Museum of Natural History and certified genuine by the Anthropology Department of Harvard University. However, alternative reports also say the mummy was examined by the University of Wyoming. The body was found to be that of a deceased child. So they're arguing between each other, these...
Yeah, I'll go with, like, the first one of the two, since it was, like, the national kind of anthropology thing,
Yeah, I'm sorry to knock the University of Wyoming, but I think Harvard probably has a little bit more clout than you guys. So
yeah, I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
It says then the mummy was displayed in sideshows for many years before it was purchased by a Casper businessman named Ivan T. Goodman. When Goodman died in 1950, the mummy passed into the hands of one Leonard Walder, a New York businessman who died in the 1980s. It has not been seen publicly since, and its whereabouts are unknown.
Oh, damn, dude. You just made it even more interesting.
I don't want to go there, but I'm just going to throw it out that somebody from Skull and Bones probably owns that thing.
Yeah.
And it goes on to say here something quite interesting. Other skeletons of the little people have said to be found in other areas of the US, near Coshocton, Ohio. A burial ground was reportedly discovered that contained the numerous remains of a pygmy race of people only about 3 feet tall. In 1876, another ancient graveyard was documented as having been discovered in Coffee County, Tennessee. Reports indicated the cemetery, covering some 6 acres, held the remains of thousands of dwarf-like people.
So that was a graveyard full. How many did you say there?
And in the one in Coffee County, Tennessee from 1876, it says, reports indicated the cemetery covering 6 acres, holding the remains of thousands of dwarf-like people. I didn't even know this bit. It's a right rabbit hole.
Thousands? Whoa. Yeah, hang on again. We need to, like, park the bus. Hey, I'm not driving the bus anymore, Scott. What's happening here?
That's what I'm saying.
Is it a graveyard, or is it the site of a battle?
Who knows? Yeah, and this goes back to what we were saying earlier. I mean, I get it, all of the interest in giants and all of that stuff, but it seems like we have a lot of evidence here to show that there was a race of little people, or these small hominid creatures that once existed, and
you don't hear about the Nephilim running about by the thousand either, right? Usually stories of giants, there's like a couple in the area because they're big things, but it sounds like these things were everywhere. They were replete. They were absolutely everywhere.
And the mainstream scientific explanation, it was just a child.
So it makes you wonder when the last time this was tested, because I would imagine in the years that have passed since, our DNA testing and things we can learn have really improved. They're improving all the time, right?
So the last time this thing was seen was in the 80s, I would assume. And we didn't really have DNA testing. I guess we did, but it was very, very expensive, and it's
probably only told you if it was a male or a female, whether it was XX or XY, let alone breaking down the actual genes,
Yeah. So, and it makes you wonder where this thing is now. Who owns it?
I still think somewhere.
Yeah, it's either at Harvard and with Geronimo's stuff, or it's sitting in a Rothschild mansion somewhere, just sitting, probably in their wacky kind of waxwork museum of things that people never get to find out about. Talk about on Freaky Friday.
The room of occulted artifacts. That's what it is.
There's people falling over right now. They're absolutely they're clamoring over each other to try and get a piece of our woo master. Oh, leave him alone. He's ours for another hour. You can have him after that. But Jace, you're winning hearts and minds here, dude.
Good, Kev. I'll just finish off the last little bit of the Namira guy. It says here, though the little mummy has been lost to history, it continues to be a scientific curiosity, and to many only the stuff of legends. Allegedly, the Pedro Mountains mummy brought bad luck to those who possessed it, and Native Americans continue to warn their people to be aware of the tiny people eaters, who still are said to live in the mountains and the high places of Wyoming.
Sorry, dude. He said that people eaters. I don't know why that was particularly funny this time, but it was.
And a little side note in the bottom, it says, as to the prospectors who originally found the mummy, they soon returned to continue their search for gold. They registered their claim in Carbon County as the Little Man Mine, but it never produced the gold that they had hoped for. Today, a sign still stands in Shirley Basin that signifies the location of the mine. So yeah.
Makes you wonder. Well, let me go even really crazier woo. Since we're going big woo tonight, right? Scotty, you've got stories of the Anunnaki, the ones not from this world, and they're obsessed with gold, right? You've got these little people who sound like they're more indigenous to this planet than we are. Makes you wonder if they're protecting the gold. There's one in near a vein of gold. Do you know what I'm saying? You find the ones that go underground. You got the Tommy knockers with the miners. I don't know, dude. Maybe they're the keeper of the gold.
Maybe. I mean, I think we're talking about a story here that is far fantastical and outrageous than we can even imagine.
Remember we done the mines in South Africa? Remember they were like mining and then they hit through and it was like an ancient one, but it was dead small. Makes you and then you've got those little tunnels between Scotland and Turkey, and when you see the archaeologist, she's on her hands and knees. It's only about that tall.
So are these little hominid creatures, you know, are these the entities that dwell in inner earth or cavernous earth, I guess?
Well, listen to this,
we
folks.
could say.
Listen to this, because we've got the best audience in the world, right? Big shout out to my brother War. War says, just saying that gigantes in Greek just doesn't mean enormously large. It's a defilement, an abomination of what is considered to be human. So that could mean big or small.
Yeah, it's just an
abomination.
out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
War.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
And you know, that's where, you know, a lot of things could get missing in translation as well, because people just assume that the word giant means large, but if you want to break it down into the original Greek, like War just did, it just means an anomalous creature of some kind, with humanoid features. It could be big or small. So
does the Bible have
very
little people in it? I'm asking a serious question because I'm not a Bible scholar.
This would be a question you would have to ask Joe.
Or
for Bill or for Joe.
Bill,
Yeah, because I'm not particularly.
We've got Goliath. I mean, the giants are in there, right? I mean,
yeah, the giants are in there.
You've got the fallen ones as well, but I wonder if there is anything that you could interpret as these little ones too. Interesting.
It's a very interesting question, and I think that's something that we'll have to investigate and see.
Back to you, Jace. We'll let you get more in here, man. We want more of these things.
So we're done with the Namiriga.
Okay.
So the next ones, we're going to go off island a little bit to Hawaii. We're going to go with the Menehuen.
Is this the ones that look like they're out of Crash Bandicoot?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the native drawings. And then there's a funny little one with some little people just on a volcano.
Okay. I'll send this to TFR. You go for it, Jace. Go for it.
So, the legend of the Menehuen. Hawaiian legend has it many centuries ago, the Menehuen were a mischievous group of small people or dwarfs who lived hidden in the forest and valleys of the islands before the first settlers arrived from Polynesia. These Menehuen, who roamed the deep forest at night, were said to be about 2 feet tall, though some were as tiny as 6 inches. Small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. They enjoyed dancing, singing, and archery, and their favourite foods were bananas and fish.
Crash Bandicoot. I can't look at that without hearing the Crash Bandicoot, you know? I'm telling you, man. That's where they're from, Scott. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
Definite,
and,
dude.
It also reminds me of was it like I can't think of the name right now. It's a PlayStation 1 game. I want to say Talk or something like that. But
it looks like what's that, Day of the Dead as well? The way they all paint the face, that one on the right.
Kind of the Dia de los Muertos thing.
I had the Muertos bit, the rest of it would have been butchered, so I didn't just want to say the Muertos bit.
It also, you know, a lot of similarities with kind of those African tribe masks as well, you know.
Yeah, very, very, very.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it continues. The Menehuen have been known to use magic arrows to pierce the heart of angry people, igniting feelings of love instead. They also enjoy cliff diving, and according to local law, they were smart, extremely strong, and excellent craftsmen. They were rarely seen by human eyes, and they were credited with mighty feats of engineering and overnight constructions. These industrious master builders used their great strength to build the temples, fish ponds, roads, canoes, and houses. One such structure they are believed to have built is Kika'aulu, which is known as the Menenhu Ditch, a historic irrigation ditch that funnels the water from the Waimea River or Kau. Another one of their amazing feats is the legendary overnight creation of the Akau fish pond, or Kakui, which archaeologists estimate to be around 1,000 years old. It is said the built Alaska fish pond is for a princess and her brother. They shy but strong group lined up in a double row which stretched 25 miles to distant Makawa. The workers passed stone hand in hand to build the pond. They worked at night so as not to be seen by others, cutting, transporting and fitting stones for their projects in Long Bucket Brigade. If they were discovered, their work would have been abandoned.
This is crazy good, dude. Really good stuff, man.
So, in the Hawaiian myths, they believed that the little people were responsible for building everything on the island, and they were the people who built it and their civilization.
It's amazing, Scotty, yeah? Isn't it?
Yeah, and it's very similar to, I mean, you see a lot of these sort of traits among a lot of these legends and stories of these little people, that they seemed to be very mechanically minded, I guess you could say. Like they're really interested in building and tinkering with sort of technology. You know, I don't want to say technology. I guess technology. Like they had a level of engineering ability that they seemed to be really into, right? And it's also like a trait that you see sort of translated into like the Lord of the Rings stuff, right? You know, the dwarves were the kind of mechanically minded building things in their little mountain caves and all of that stuff. So there seems to be this trait that they really were into building and engineering, and
maybe they're the missing piece of
like
some of these ancient monuments that we look at. We often
maybe
try and figure out where did they get this, and we often look up. Oh, must have been ancient aliens. One of them must have had a download or something like that. What if there was like a species of little people who were master builders? Who knew how to work rock, who knew how to do things with stone. And remember, at one time, we all lived happily together. You know? We're throwing it out there. I'm not telling anyone, right, you have to go and believe that. If you believe anything I say, it's worrying. But, you know what I mean? It's in play for a Freaky Friday, Jason.
Yes, it's definitely on the table.
So, I'll continue. It says, the many Huen were promised no one would watch them at work, which was carried out after dark. However, one night the royal siblings snuck up and watched the thousands of Menehune at work, only to fall asleep. At sunrise, the Menehune discovered them and turned them into twin stone pillars that can be seen today in the mountains above the fish pond. Interrupted by the sun, the Menehune left two gaps in the fish pond wall. Many generations later, Chinese settlers filled the gaps to raise mullet, but the stonework that closed the gap was far inferior to that of the mystical Menehune.
You've done well with these words tonight, brother. I tell you. I struggled to read English.
That's very interesting. That's interesting as well. So the Chinese came in much, much later and filled in these gaps, but their engineering and building ability was far less superior to what had already existed there for however long it had been there. So it just showed that they had a level of engineering that was far superior to like even modern, at that time, they couldn't replicate what was already there. That's pretty crazy.
So I'll continue, and I apologise about the next bit. It's going to get even more difficult. So another description that has passed down in local folklore is one of the three Menehune of Anahu. Anahu is a forest on the north side of Halakiki crater on Maui. The three Menehune were called Halalulu, Balawa, and Ilu. All the other Menehune living in Hawaii knew them well because they possessed very unusual powers. Halalulu means to tremble, and it seemed like this little man was always cold, but his magic gift was that whatever he would start shaking, he would become invisible and could travel anywhere without being detected. Aluhu in Hawaiian means quick and nimble, and whenever Alu moved, he was so quick that he disappeared and no one could follow him. Malawa's name means lazy, but what most people didn't know was that whenever he appeared to be sleeping or lazy, his magical self became inseparable, and he would go around the island and do good deeds. So these special powers.
So it's almost like while it looked like he was sleeping, he was astral traveling, is essentially what he was doing.
That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Damn,
dude.
That's from what I can get the gist of it. And it goes on to say, even though the Menehune were said to be displaced when the first settlers arrived in Hawaii, some people still believe that the Menehune are roaming the islands, carrying out little tricks on people. Indeed, in an 1820 census of Kauai, listed 65 people as Menehune. Other Hawaiian mythological records refer to a few other forest-dwelling races, the Nawau, who were large and wild hunters descended from the Lanunu, and the Mu people and the Wa people. So they've got a few different races as well, Kev.
Dude, how you got through all of that without stumbling, that in itself deserves some kind of medal. It does, Scott, right?
I'm sure
well, Jason did much better than I would have done.
I wouldn't even attempted it. I'd have called them, something or other. Moving on.
So those are the little people of Hawaii, and basically they seem to be like builders, and they seem to be good because you've got the myth of being shot through the heart and falling in love. Maybe that's where that all comes from. The myth of what's it called, Kev? I've forgotten it for a sec. The love angel.
Eros, sounds very much like Cupid, kind of, too.
That's it. Yeah. They seem to be good people as long as you don't watch them work and they do good deeds.
The cherubs, they're kind of small, aren't they?
Yeah. So that was the Hawaiian myths. There is one more, Kev, if you want me to read it. It's the little people of the Choctaw legend.
Let's save it for after the break, Jace.
No problem,
You get yourself a wee drink there, man, because you've been doing a lot.
Have a 2-second break.
You've been doing a lot of talking there. Folks, this here, when Jason said we were going to be talking about this tonight, I was excited because we've done some good shows on this topic, Scott, right? But pretty much, I didn't think we knew all of the different names of the beasties and species out there. I had no idea we were going to get into this kind of stuff tonight. This has been... How do you pick one of these entities or one part of what Jason's been going into out of the 3 hours we've been doing? I suppose if I had to pick one thing so far, I say so far because I don't know what's coming next. That skeleton, right?
That was a total, I was not expecting that level of a woo, that they actually found some physical evidence to back up that, hey, looks like there was a race of little people running around. And then you had Harvard chiming in saying, "Hey, it's the real deal."
Like you
know?
said, Harvard versus Wyoming. I'll go with Harvard. We'll go Ivy League on this one, you know.
Like, yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to poo-poo the
Nothing
good people
against
over at
Wyomings or Wyomingians, but no.
Yeah, but I just think that they're a little
I
trumped
reckon
by
if you've got on your CV or your resume, as you guys have in America, University of Wyoming versus the other candidate that's been to Harvard. All right, Harvard it is then. No offense,
exactly.
Wyoming. No offense.
Yeah.
Is Wyoming the state where it's all like prairie land and wide open spaces, dude? Or is that Montana?
Well, Wyoming has got mountains, but in the east it's like flat prairie land.
Shit. I like that place. Now I might have to move there. No, they're not going to want me now.
It's kind of like Colorado. It's just north of Colorado. So
Colorado's got everything, and I mean everything I need. Everything I need. It's a cool state. Yep, indeedy.
Yeah, I
You know
agree.
where I'm coming from, man. Come on.
Hey,
man. Come on, man.
Hey, I can or cannot confirm that I've acquired certain products from Colorado.
You probably get swatted where you are, man. Going across state lines. That must be like some kind of felony you're talking about. Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't get done for hypotheticals. Not yet. Probably. Maybe soon. But we're going to the break, folks. There's nothing hypothetical about the break. I mean it. We are going there. We'll be back after these short and snappy messages. One segment to go on your Freaky Friday. Or should we say, Jason's Freaky Friday. Damn, dude.
What is it?
Aye. My word. The only downside of this, the only disadvantage I can see in all of this, folks, and I'm talking to all of you out there right now, I'm worried. In fact, no. I'm absolutely self. Why? Why is Kev so scared? Because I know somehow me and Scott have to come back here next week and we've got to try and at least equal this or top it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a tough act to follow, man.
I might need to play a wild card of a Marzuli or I'm gonna have to go for a big name to rival Jace, man.
I like that. Kev's thinking of the wild card to pull out now.
How do I do it? I can't do it myself. There's no way I'm bringing a level of woo like that. I need a Marzuli.
But then the problem is, Kev, is that becomes an exponential curve of having to one up the next show, because then if you pull out the wild card, what are you going to do the week after that? You know, it's like...
I know. Yeah. I hear you.
Mammoth in the chat. You've been to Colorado.
Yes, she went over there for, if I remember rightly, medical treatment. I think it was... I don't even know if I don't know. I'll let Mammo say in the chat room. So I don't know if I've seen it in Discord or heard it somewhere. Me just about to blurt out people's private lives on here, you know. I suppose really I should leave that for them.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You're in Colorado. You were just right next door to Kansas, and it's a good thing you were in Colorado instead of Kansas, because there's nothing to see here in Kansas.
Coffee, man.
Sorry,
coffee.
Yeah. Absolutely nothing to see here in Kansas unless you like wheat fields that go on as far as the eye can see, and flatness, just flat, totally flat. Yeah, wheat, soy, and cornfields. I mean, I guess if you're out in western Kansas, you get to see a lot of cattle, but there's not a lot of scenery over here. Pretty boring. So yeah, good thing you're in Colorado. There's a lot more to see in the state next door to us.
It's miles away. They're preparing the next bit.
Nice.
Hope you're enjoying the show, everyone. I didn't expect it to go like this either. I've sort of winged some of it on the way, so it's going well.
Oh man, it's been excellent. I've this has been an awesome show, and just the things you brought to the table, man. I mean, the mummy, those cannibalistic dwarves at the beginning. I've never even heard of those. But I got to get more into a lot of the legends and stuff that the natives talk about around here. There's a lot going on when it comes to that.
What a mess.
Definitely.
Oh, nothing. I was just telling
Talking
Jason.
about me, just talking about me. I felt you all talking about me when I was away there. I felt it, man.
Just chatting with Jason and kind of looking at the chat. Tori, Tori C, you've been to Kansas, the rolling hills of Kansas. I
thought that was Tori, another Tori that's out. Oh, I thought we had somebody nasty in our chat room.
No.
That's okay then. That's okay, Scott. You almost triggered me. Here we go. Final segment. It feels horrible introducing the final segment of today's show because I don't want it to end. This has been absolutely brilliant. I've had nothing to do with this. Scotty, I think we can both give all credit tonight to Jason. I mean, Jace, how long did it take you to put this together, man?
Well, when I originally done it, it took me a couple of days of just looking at all the different info and then trying to work out what to put in, because this is just scratching the surface of it, Kev. Yeah. I've got a little bit to do on the Choctaw legend, then I could probably actually read the bit from Mysterious Legends, because there is parts that I hadn't even covered. There's just so much to it. You could have spent probably the whole show just talking about the cannibals and the Pug Wodgies alone. So I'm just trying to do each of the tribes justice and do as much of it as I can.
The Puck Wodgy has to be the best name of the night.
Yeah. He's my favourite now. Yeah. Sorry, Tommy Knockers. I know you're local, but
I feel like they're almost like Ouija's. Puck Ouija's, Puck Wodgies. I think they're related to us Glaswegians.
There's definitely an emoji in it one day, Kev.
Oh, definitely a Puck Wedgie emoji. Try saying that 10 times when you're half PPP'd.
Yeah. I don't know, I've got through the night, to be fair.
You've done well, man. You've done well.
I've just got one more native tribe to butchers their myths, and then I've got the story from Mysterious Universe, and that'll probably take us up to about the time, Kev, if that's all right.
Yep.
I'm in my glory.
I know you wanted to cover some stuff as well.
No. No, I'm in my glory. Over at you, big man.
Right. So, the Little People, a Choctaw legend, it says. A long time ago in ancient time, while the Choctaw Indians were living in Mississippi, the Choctaw legends say that certain supernatural beings or spirits live near them. These spirits or little people were known as the Kawi Anukshi, or forest dwellers. They're about 2 or 3 foot tall. These pygmy beings lived deep in the thick forest. Their homes were in caves hidden under the large rocks. When a boy child is 2, 3, or even 4 years old, he will often wander off into the woods, playing or chasing small animals. When the little one is well out of sight from his home, the Kanashi, who are always on watch, sees the little boy and take him away to his cave. Many times his cave is far away, and the Kawatskashi, or the little boy, must travel a very long way, climbing many hills and crossing many streams. When they finally reach the cave, the Kawashikashi takes him inside, where he is met by 3 other spirits, all very old with long hair. So I'm just going down. The first one offers the boy a knife. The second one offers him a bunch of poisonous herbs. The third offers a bunch of herbs yielding good medicine. If the child accepts the knife, he is certain to become a bad man and may even kill his friends. If he accepts the poisonous herbs, he will never be able to cure or help his people. But if he accepts the good herbs, he is destined to become a great doctor and an important and influential man of his tribe, and will win the confidence of all his people. When he accepts the good herbs, the three old spirits will tell him the secrets of making medicines from the herbs, roots, and barks of certain trees, and of the teaching of curing various fevers, pains, and other sicknesses. So it goes on to say, this is the reason the little people take the boy child to their home in the wilderness in order to train Indian doctors, transmitting to them their special creative powers and to train them in the manufacture of the medicines. The child will remain with the spirit for 3 days, after which he is returned. He does not tell where he has been or what he has seen or heard, not until he becomes a man, and he will make use of the knowledge gained from the spirits. And never will he reveal to others how it was acquired. It is said among the Choctaws that few children wait to be accepted. It says Choctaws that few children will wait to accept the offering of the good herbs from the fair spirit. And that is why there are so few good doctors and other men of influence among the Choctaws. It is also said the little people are never seen by common Choctaws. The Choctaw prophets and herb doctors, however, claim the power of seeing them and holding of communications with them. During the darkest nights of all kinds of weather, you can see a strange light wandering around the woods. This light is an Indian doctor and his little helper looking for the special herb to treat the cure of a very sick tribesman.
That is some story, man. That is a story and a half. Isn't it, Scott?
That's awesome. I mean, it's pretty wild, you know. And it's like they're testing the child to see if he's worthy of becoming a medicine man or like an elder chief, you know.
A rite of passage almost, you know. Yep.
Yeah. It's a way of being able to see into the soul of the person, you know, and see what they're destined for.
Do you think there is a way, you know, like it suggests there? Like, do you think you can tell something about a person that early on with some? Do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Like I know it sounds kind of, because it in a way it kind of throws out.
Don't think it's a one. I'll give you. I think I know where you're coming from. I don't think it's one answer fits all here, Scott.
Yeah. But I think some people are just born bad.
Yeah, bad seed.
Bad seed, and no matter what, they're never. They're destined to be a bad dude.
And I think some people are
future,
born good,
you know?
and they can.
And I think I think some people are born destined to do good, and
nurture.
And
the nurturing that can come in between can be either really good, or it can send you down that destructive way, right? Because it definitely affects you.
Yeah, and I know it kind of throws out the whole thing of like free will and all, you know. Well, but I do believe that there is kind of like people have a destiny, I guess, if you can call it that. Some people can turn themselves around as well. You know, maybe, you know, they were bad and they can end up becoming a good person.
None of us are perfect in the end of the day.
Yeah, none of us. Yeah, none of us are perfect. But I do think that there are just some people that they're just bad. They're just bad from the get-go, and there's nothing.
We've all known somebody like that. I'm pretty sure, you know, we've all come into contact with somebody that we can go, yeah, they pretty much that kind of fits them. They're just out there, bad people, you know.
I mean, look at like the kids that grow up to become serial killers or something, and they've been doing that since they were a child. You know, like harming animals and killing animals, and they thrive on that. And it's like that person's destined to be a bad dude when they grow up. You know? There's
a reason that they have that kind of commonality in their kind of makeup, their childhood. It's no coincidence, you know. It's
Yeah.
a slippery slope when you find your child pulling the legs off a spider. I hate to tell you this, but there's a good chance. I'm only joking. Jason, back to you.
So that covers what I was going to cover, but I'll read from the everyone's favourite website. We'll definitely ask Kev, Mysterious Universe.
It's up there, brother. It's up there. Yep.
And it's called The Mysterious Little People of Native American Lore. So it says, it seems that nearly every culture on Earth has its own stories of little people. They are variously called gnomes, dwarfs, fairies, trolls, imps, and by many other names. But it's truly curious just how prevalent such tales are across cultural and geographical divides. The Native American tribes of what is now the United States also have plenty of stories of such entities. Here we will look at the mysteries and little people of American lore. So it goes on to say, one of the prominent Native American stories of the little people comes from the wilds of Arizona and from the Yavapai, which literally means people of the sun, comprised of 4 different tribes that once inhabited an area of Arizona bordered by the San Francisco peaks to the north, the Pinole Mountains and Matatazi Mountains to the southeast, the Colorado River to the west, and the Glee River and the Salt River to the south. Among the lore of the Yapavi is the belief that the land was once, and still perhaps is, inhabited by a race of little people they call Kaka, described as being only around a foot in height and having perfectly round heads with no nose. They seem to have very spiritual elements to them, in a sense, and according to the book Oral History of the Yabafa, Mike Harrison, the Kaka are just like Indians, but little, tiny Indians. They live in the mountains and they talk to the Yapava. They don't like to talk to everybody, just to the teacher, the reader, like medicine men. For it is the Kaka who give instruction and teaching to their medicine men. The Kaka never die. They are around all the time. You can't see them all the time, but it can happen sometimes. So, like the other ones we just covered on the Choctaw, they seem to be only able to see them if they're medicine men or doctors or someone of that ilk in this tribe.
Yeah, they only speak to those who they feel are worthy or have a destined path to go that way, and they're basically kind of invisible and cloaked from everyone else. Very interesting.
Yeah. It goes on to say the preferred habitat for these creatures has long been said to be under the desolate mountains of the area. In particular, Granite Mountain, Jerome Mountain, Superstition Mountain, Four Peaks, Fossil Creek, and the Red Mountains. Here they live down in the dark depths of the subterranean caverns, which are occasionally lit up somehow, as if it is daytime, but they are also said to sometimes fashion tiny houses above the ground, which can occasionally be found in the mountains, and which the tribes have always known to leave them well alone. Although the Kaka were traditionally rarely encountered by other than the medicine men and tribal leaders, this is not always the case, and they have frequently been spotted all the way up into the modern day. Some interesting details about these encounters are that the Kaka will often vanish into thin air when seen, and lost time is often reported in their presence.
Oh.
So, yeah. So it says here, Venetian presence. Right, it says here, one such story allegedly happened in 1872 at Fort Peaks. While the Yapava tribesman was taken by the Kaka to their underground lair, for the man had only stayed with them a couple of days. But when he returned to his village, it turns out 40 years had passed.
Whoa, hang on. Uh-oh. Right, so he goes to an underground lair, and then he comes back 40 years later. His name isn't Corey Good, is it? Sorry. I had to go there. It wasn't Blue Chickens that took him underground, was it?
No, hopefully not. So it goes on to say, such races of miniature entities can be found throughout a wide range of other tribes as well. The Crow people, who once occupied the Yellowstone River Valley, stretching from the present-day Wyoming through Montana into the North Dakota, have their own version of the Little People, which they call the Narumbi or Wakakuli, which are said to dwell in the Pryor Mountains of Carbon County, Montana, and Bighorn County. In the Crow stories, these creatures are fierce, ugly dwarfs which stand only about the height of one's knee and have no necks, short, powerful limbs, and rounded, distended stomachs and sharp fangs for teeth. These malicious beings are said to be immensely strong for their size, many times stronger than a human being, and considered to be very aggressive and ferocious, often depicted as something more like a demonic creature rather than a miniature human.
Yeah, that sounds something different, doesn't it, Scott?
It sounds like this is a version of the Telly-IN, doesn't it?
The first ones, the wild ones, yeah.
Sounds just like the first ones we talked about at the beginning of the show. Yep.
It's going to get a bit more gruesome here. The stories surrounding the Narumbi are typically horrific, with tales of men's heads torn off, or horses with their hearts ripped out from their chest are very common, as well as reports of them stealing children, food, medicine, livestock, and tobacco. These creatures were once so feared that the Crow would often leave offerings such as breads, cloth, arrows, knives, or tobacco in the places they were thought to dwell in order to appease them and avoid incurring their wrath. It was considered normal to carry such offerings whenever passing through the mountains to guarantee safe passage. Such was the ominous reputation of these little people that even other tribes in the region stayed away from these places. Yet, for as ruthless as mean as they were considered to be, it is also said they would on occasion appear to certain individuals to give guidance. The most notably supposedly happened to the great Crow chief Plenty Copes, who was shown a vision by the little people that showed them the dangers of the incoming white settlers, shaped the way he led his people, and is widely considered by the tribe to be one of the reasons that they survived to the modern day. Interestingly, the Crow truly continue to believe that the little people are real. Sightings up and continue to the present day, and many still leave offerings from them.
Right, the next bit, yeah, that's pretty cool though. I mean, they actually attribute that story, that dealing with these little people to their survival into today. I mean, that's like quite epic when you think about it, Scott, you know?
Yeah. Let me throw this out here. If we're going to stitch together some woo and tie some threads together, livestock mutilations.
Oh, wow, man. Yep. Never even considered. I've always been looking up the way, dude.
Now, given the description of what these things like to do to animals and livestock, I think that's definitely in play now. That's got to be on the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we've managed to put every other thing into this, so it wouldn't surprise me. So the rest of the article pretty much covers a tiny little bit of what I've just talked about for 2.5 hours, and it just wraps up by saying the lore of the little people runs across many other tribes, and this has just been a selection, but they all share some commonalities and are all very strange indeed. It is interesting to note that in many cases of these tales, the little people in question are not merely constructs of myth and legend, but rather considered to be very real features of the landscape. The mirrors many of the other tales of little folk throughout the world, and like those stories, many of these creatures are seen right up to modern day. Are these merely the product of lore and myth, or is it perhaps something more to them? Why is it that these stories of little people are so persuasive throughout so many disparate cultures and geographical areas? We may never know the answers to questions such as these, but the tales of why these mysterious little people live on as they always have and perhaps always will.
Jason Merritt is his name, ladies and gentlemen. You've just been joining us late. Wow, you have missed an absolute.
Woo! Yeah,
Scott.
you need to. If you're joining us late, you're gonna have to go back and rewind this one, and because that woo dial was, it was beyond 11. It was just ripped off the. It was just turned and ripped off the. The knob.
You think about it, dude, right? I mean, out of all the topics we touch on, you would think this would be the kind of hardest to kind of float with the audience, to get them on board with it. Exact opposite. I've never seen, like, the full show, pretty much. You've had the whole chat rooms. It's on topic. People are more interested in this kind of topic than I would be expecting. And then I wonder if we can throw a bit of woo in there as well. And I wonder if it's because deep down somewhere, we all know that these little people have absolutely been around for as long as us, maybe longer, guys, you know?
The thing is I don't think anybody has really presented it in a really deep sort of way that, like, Jason has, right? I mean, like, really dived into this topic.
And with Max as well, from the Nordic side. I mean,
yes, yeah, Max.
It's on
Max,
a par.
Like, yeah, gonna have to. Yeah, he's definitely he's presented information that was absolutely mind-blowing when it comes to this topic as well. But I think that's the thing, is that as far as I know, I mean, only Max and Jason have been able to present this in a way that is extremely intriguing, you know, and because when other people talk about stuff like fairies and everything like that, they don't go into that depth. Yeah. And it's a very kind of superficial thing, and it seems very...
the fairies on the counter of Starbucks type of story.
Yeah, and it's very, like I said, it's very superficial, and it's very kind of hocus pocusy magical, and I think it turns a lot of people off because it just seems to...
And I must admit, the stuff I had set by for tonight fell into your category there, Scott. It's the kind of fairy tales, the myths, the legends that you hear over here in Scotland and things.
It's more of like, it's presented in a Mother Goose kind of fashion, whereas... You know, we've gone so far deep into this. I mean, we've got actual mummies.
Well, now to be fair, I know you
were
probably in your bed at the time, right? But I seen Donnie in the chat room. I've seen Luna in there. Mammoth was kicking about earlier. We've got our Australian contingent. Ken's in there. More Australians than probably I know about. But Jason, you watched one of the shows I've done with the Aussie crew, and you spoke to me before the show about how it ties in with what we're talking about here tonight, because Scott might not know this, but we got shown a picture of a little hairy person over in Australia that the Aboriginal people... Oh, they quite happen. It's part. They're not just like things talked about. They're in photographs and things, dude.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
I'll need to dig that stream up, and I'll need to show you that bit.
I don't doubt it one bit either.
Yep.
You know, that's the thing is.
But that's why, Scott, there was that much woo from the Australians. It was only when Jason reminded me today about that bit. I'm like, so he did. I remember that now, because with the picture on the screen, we looked at it and... the little people, man. Mm-hmm. Jason, what can I say, dude? What can I say? Damn, man. It was awesome. You look knackered now. You need a PPP, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
He's been down the rabbit hole. Me and Scott have been kind of. Hang on. I can back up what I was saying a moment ago. Wait till you check this out, and I'm going to drop this into the chat room at TFR Live as well. Here we go. And I'll drop it in there first. Hang on. What is it? What's it called? No. It is. Right, so I'll come over here. I'll throw it up on the website before we go away. Thank you very, very much, Mammoth. And there you go. There's one of the little people in question. See at the back there? See at the very back, Scotty? See that really, really dark with the hair? See how it's different from the people at the front?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Yep. Yep. So, there you go.
Wow.
Yep. Now, can Donnie or Mammoth, can you tell us what they're referred to, what the name is? Can you remember, Jason? You watched the show today. Can you remember?
I could just remember him calling him the hairy man, and that stuck in my head.
Yeah. This has been epic. What can I say? And it is Uncle Donnie's picture. Yep. This has been something else. Can't thank you enough, Jason, for what you've done to put this together.
No problem.
Damn, dude. This
Hopefully I can come back and talk about them again. I'm planning on doing the Canadian and Alaskan little people next and their folklores.
Please do it. No, not the Yowie. A Yowie. That's a Yowie. I thought the Yowie was a big Yeti.
Maybe it's a baby Yowie. Maybe it's a baby
Yowie.
Holy hell. We've got 1 minute to go and it just took an even weirder twist. Folks, we are out of here. Don't go anywhere. Brent Thomas on the way. Damn, dude.
Now we got the Yowie dropping in.
The hairy man Yowie. That's it. The nibbling. The nimbling. There it is. There you go, Jason. Nimbin. Nimbin. Nimbin.
Nimbin.
I'd love to know more about them.
Yep, the Nimbin. But yeah, how could I forget that photograph? That is something else.
Yeah, that was a really good show. Well done, everyone involved.
Oh, what do you mean? Well done, you. Well done, you. Me and Scott, we can bounce off most things, but it's so easy to bounce off stuff like that. I mean, come on, man. I think we were enjoying it as much as the audience at one point, Scott.
I'm glad.
Yeah, we were. That was what we like to refer to, what me, Kev, and Joe refer to as slippers time. When
don't know about you, I was in my hammock. I was round the back of Speculation Harbor, you know?
Just kick back with the smoking jacket and the pipe, and you just...
Our work is done. Yep. Maybe that's our role, Scott. Maybe we're just like talent hunters. Maybe we have laid the groundwork for woo masters like Jason to come pick up the chalice of woo and carry it forth.
Woo masters. Yep. Is that like a classification of like?
Dude, tell me if George Snorri had heard this tonight. You know he'd be getting an invite on Coast to Coast. That's the level of info we got tonight. Maybe too deep for them. It probably would have been too deep.
Right.
Yep.
You're right. That rabbit hole turned into a cavern.
A hobbit hole.
Clearing of woo. It was a gathering of woo. I'm telling you, man. You, my friend, the woo is strong in you. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to have to make sure I keep my game at this level.
Bloody hell, dude. That's the only problem you've got now. It's the only problem I can tell here, Scotty.
I don't know. I just feel like this... Well, it keeps saying Hobbit Hole is taking me to where it's meant to be taking me. I was going to walk away from the little people, but it's sort of been 3 different things this week have happened to drag me back into it. So maybe it's time to actually get around to doing the Canadian stories.
Yeah, if you know, just go with your gut, man. And if you feel like you're being pulled in that direction, then that's where you need to go, you know. And then if you feel like you need to go and do something else, then it's that time, you know. Just go where the flow takes you, man.
Yeah,
go where the flow takes you.
There's definitely a lot more in this. Like you say, we've only heard a tiny bit from all around the world. Can you imagine what some of the tribe stories are in Africa and what I can look into? So I'm going to probably go further down this hobbit hole.
That's what I'm saying. Like you gotta you gotta wonder what some of the stories from like different cultures from around the world, like the African tribes, some of the indigenous people in Asia. You know, there's got to be a lot of just untapped sort of knowledge and woo out there.
Even the different mobs, like in Australia. Australia is huge. I wouldn't be surprised if a mob from up the north and a mob from up the south have 2 totally different stories, but probably the same little thing, right? Probably got different names for it.
Yeah, they end up syncing up, and that there's a commonality between the 2, you know. And I think that's where a lot of like when we talk about this stuff, I think that's where a lot of this gets interesting, is when we're able to connect the dots and compare the different stories and legends from different tribes and different peoples, and go, oh, look, there's that baseline commonality between them. You know, I think
the thing we can definitely, I'm confident in saying, Scotty, Jason, these are real. Whatever is at the heart of this isn't something that was made up as a bedtime story to scare the kids. For a start, that's something that like lazy Western people have done. You know, start telling white lies to you know, talk to their kids and teach them things. Like Scott pointed out earlier on, you know, probably they would just tell them exactly what it is, as opposed to telling them a white lie about a porcupine being a magic wielding little person. Probably more logical, they would just say it's a porcupine. You know, so if that's the case, then we're talking about something very real. And if we're talking about something very real, does it mean they're entirely gone? Because you're a big proponent of the cavernous Earth. Not that it's a theory, Scott. It's just, you know, we talk about it. I'm with you on that. Yeah. We know so little about the bottom of the ocean, so goodness knows what's under there, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. And like, look how many times, like you see in the news or whatever, that they found a fish or a species that they once thought was extinct, but is actually still around. It's just so rare to come across it or find it or whatever. It's the same with these small hominid species, I guess you could say, that once were extremely prevalent on the, you know, and were common. Maybe, you know, they're not extinct, but it's just so rare to come across them now, and that they've kind of went into hiding and went underground, like literally, I guess you could say.
And we've always kind of and you think about it as well, though, Scott, right? Joe, he talks about, we mentioned Joe a few times tonight. He mentions back in these ancient times, gravity, everything, all different. Things took different shapes and forms. Sure, we know that the dinosaurs were massive, right? But wouldn't it make more sense to be smaller in stature? Like, survival-wise, I mean, you've got all your food around you. You know, if there is a difference in gravity, as opposed to growing tall above like a height where your predators are going to see you. I mean, we could have been very, very tiny up to where we are now.
And even just from an evolutionary standpoint, if you're talking about a species that's living underground, it probably would evolve to be of a smaller stature or whatever, to squeeze into those smaller caves and things like that. So I mean, it would just provide an advantage living in that environment. as opposed to like living on the surface. So, but yeah, I mean, given all of the information that we've talked about and all of the information that Jason has presented, there's no doubt in my mind that these things existed at one time, if not still exist, and probably do still exist.
Big time. Big time. Now, Jason, before I let you go, brother, we know you for your paranormal work, right? But how's it going with this kind of, what do you call it? Because I know when I done, like, going underground in the Yorkshire Dales, it was potholing, right? You go into the caves and all that. But what do you call, like, going under? Is it...
Urban exploring, apparently it's called.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Yeah.
Urban exploring, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
My mom is a huge fan of YouTube channels that do urban exploring and things like that.
Cool.
So
One of my featured channels, Scotty, if you go onto my channel, let your mum know. One of my featured channels is my friend, and he's got an amazing footage from all over forts. But since I was last on, I was due to go off with him, and I've been to forts. And the other day, we walked up by the Citadel, and he pulled open a drain cover, and he'd already carried a ladder up there the night before. We went down this ladder, and I thought, where are we going here? In the sewers. And then it just opened up into a hid 17th century battle. That's where it's going now, down the steps, because it was used in the Second World War's air raid shelter. Then it was covered over, and nobody knows it's there anymore apart from one or two people. So literally, you go down the steps, and then we opened up into the old battlements that overlooked the creek that would defend in the 1700s against the French coming up to the dockyard to protect the dockyard.
That's only one layer. That's only one layer of history, Scotty boy, right?
Yeah.
You start stripping back these layers. How many times have we done this, you know?
Yeah, see, and that's the crazy thing about like where you guys are located, in the UK, well, just Europe in general, is that, history was just, they just built on top of the previous things, so there's like these layers and catacombs
like
that you can just go down.
But you go down the way, right?
Yeah, see, we don't have that kind of element really here in the US. I mean, I guess we kind of do. I mean, building over native structures or something along.
Like building over things over here, we thought we need a bigger country to go and build our crap, man. Yeah,
this was quite interesting, this bit where he's showing now. It felt like something out of not Lord of the Rings. What was that other thing on with all the dragons recently? Game of Thrones.
It does look Game of Thrones-ish, man, doesn't it?
Yeah, so,
that's cool.
He just, because our city was fortified, and pretty much the south coast wasn't it, Kev?
Yeah.
During 1700s onwards, because of the French, Spanish, Germans eventually. It's pretty much fortified, but it's all been lost, and they just built over it all.
When you're an empire, and at the heart of it, you're really just such a puny little island. You better believe we had defences all the way around it.
Yeah. So he explained to me on this bit that one of his explorer friends had been down here a few years before and put the old through to the next part of the fort because it's all blocked off now. They blocked each other a bit off. It would go on for like miles and miles all around the city.
You could get lost under there, man.
That's insane. That's crazy. That's crazy that there's that extensive.
Stuff. Yeah.
It's like another city under there, Scott, right?
Yeah. And apparently they're all over the place, like the south coast, Portsmouth, Plymouth, all the way up to Dover, right down to Cornwall.
Haunted?
Well, the first bit we went to, it didn't seem a lot happened. This part, we managed to get, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's seen it, but we managed to get a name from someone who lived in Plymouth, and we asked him where he was from, and it says Plymouth, and we went, all right, then I'll test you, what part? And it says Whitley, and Whitley's the next estate over from me.
Wow, dude.
So yeah, we were all quite shocked when it said, I'm from Plymouth, Whitley. He was like, whoa. So,
wow.
So yeah, we found a castle that's now about an old Tollbooth Castle on the other side of the city's abandoned. We're hoping to get in there next.
What's this for Austin? Nice hat. Nice hat.
That's my Ghostbusting Farmers hat, Kaz.
Oh, I like it, man. You need to get yourself... Is that almost a Peaky Blinder there you've got on there, man?
Nearly, yeah.
Nearly.
The Farmers version, Kev.
Yeah.
Small company.
I look ridiculous.
Phrases.
I look like a young child when I've got a Peaky Blinder on. Because I'm so small, it looks like I've got my dad's hat on or something.
Yeah, so Fort Austin, was that the one with the satanic stuff?
Yeah, we've got 666 here.
That was all the Crowley stuff written on the walls and stuff. You know, we're trying to hunt Crowley and his crew. Well, this is one of the places we've found out some of his supporters have been going. So we're on to them.
Be careful, dude. Be careful, right?
Yeah.
Because I know people think, that's all like crap. It's all back in, like, way years ago and things. That OTO and stuff, that's still going. Still going.
Yeah, well, this place here, the symbols, we went and researched some of the writing. There's a lot of Latin written on the walls in a minute. You get Crowley's symbols everywhere, witchcraft symbols.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the little outhouse that's down from Aleister Crowley's house. It's obviously still used to this day by practitioners. Like you're saying, some of the symbols I've seen in that place, I didn't even recognise them, but damn, dude.
Yeah,
this
these are
place
kids
looks
messing
dark.
about with graffiti. It's not graffiti with kids. This is serious. The spells that were all over the walls, we decoded some of it. It was like witchcraft sign and the demon sign. Some of the Latin that was written was like Tricor. It was something like to do with Satan and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty creepy down there.
Ooh, makes you wonder what kind of portals were opened up down there that were never closed. And
Yeah. So we've my friend thinks we've located Crowley's abandoned abbey in Torquay. So we're going to do a bit more research about that. We don't want to go in it without someone who can protect us, basically. So we're gonna, if we do find it, we're gonna reach out to a medium, hopefully, because we don't want to go messing about in there.
Either that worst case scenario, get Bill Bean on Skype with you.
Yeah.
He'll do it, man. He'll send his warrior angels. We laugh.
Yeah.
I wished his warrior angels done something to Bleskin House, and a week later it burned down for the second time. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
Just while we're on this subject, just while we're on YouTube, because most of your subscribers are mine, I'm running a competition all the way through October. We'll be starting in October to celebrate Halloween and our first year, so keep an eye out for it.
Awesome.
No, not awesome. I hate people like that. I mean, now the audience are going to expect shit.
It's like everyone who's a subscriber is allowed to enter, even you.
Oh, Jason, Jason, I'd have a word with you off air. You don't, no, now I'm going to mess it all. Jason gives us a competition. Don't worry, folks. I've got a competition in the works. Secret, I can't tell you about it just yet, but folks, I've had a blast tonight. You know, when I do have my competition, David Wilcock's is going to come on and he's going to present the prize as a blue chicken to the winner. No, so I had to. But listen, I've had an absolute blast. Jason, can't thank you enough. Just can't.
No problem. I'm glad you all both enjoyed it and all the viewers. So,
dude, the audience absolutely loved it. If they are any indication of what the whole wider listening audience thinks of the show, it's got to be right up there with one of the best. Has to be.
Thanks, Kev. Appreciate it.
Imaginary hat has been doffed to you, my good sir.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not going to promise I'm going to be doing anything tomorrow, folks. You know what Saturday's like. It's my day of rest. Everyone says I get a day of rest every day, but no, I don't know, I usually say this, but I honestly don't know, but I do know I'll be back on Sunday, and I do know that Bill's got a couple of guests coming on, and I rudely have forgotten who it is, but I know it's 2 people. They're going to be absolutely awesome. That'll be on Sunday night over on the main Kev Baker Show channel. Not sure what's happening with that channel yet, folks. I'm having too much fun over here. That one's got loads of baggage and ambassadors and strange things about it.
Yeah, whatever happens, happens.
Exactly.
You just have to.
I'm happy here, dude. We do our woo. Well, this was deep woo tonight. So yes. On that note, I will let you all get back about your business, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. Can't thank you all enough for hanging out for 3 hours with us here tonight. It's been absolutely awesome. So, with that said,
I never expected Trump charging into a goblin's nest to not get some goblin vomit and slop and blood on him. I don't want to see him kissing goblins. Spider ghosts are at least 25 years old. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I never expected.
Okay. I didn't mean to put it on again. I didn't mean to put it on again. We're out of here, folks.
Slop and blood on him. I don't want to see him kissing goblins. Spider ghosts are at least 25 years old.
Remember to subscribe to the channel. Remember, check out Jason's channel. And remember, keep your eye on the feed to see when we're going live again. And if not, you can come and join us over in Discord 24/7. I think it's Lydia that's going to be on this week on the open mic in Discord on Sunday. Everyone's welcome over there. I will drop a link into the chat room. It'll be live for 60 seconds and then I'll delete it again. Why? Because if you leave it up there, you never know what asshat might get it in the future. There you go, folks. We're out of here. And not forgetting the Aussie mic that starts in Discord tomorrow. Dang, dude.